All right, we're up to the last 3 episodes of the Patreon content. So this one is actually not a Patreon episode, though. I'm posting it here, though, for posterity's sake. So one of the first episodes that I was asked to do for Film Rescue before I officially joined what was Montrose Media, then became Jaguar Sharks, I was asked to come on to do Man of Steel, a movie I absolutely hate. And considering that James Gunn's Superman trailer just dropped yesterday, I'm recording this on December 20th, this feels appropriate to repost. I was the person that had to fix Man of Steel, and there was a mix-up in communication, and I ended up doing 2009 Star Trek, which was technically my first episode. But the episode that I was asked to do first was actually Man of Steel. And I had to find a way to fix that film. And it was it was a hell of a challenge, because going through it, I was just kind of like, God, man, I really do not... I get that there is a fan base for Snyder's stuff. I am not part of it. I don't like his take upon Man of Steel. I don't like his take upon Superman. It just... Ayn Randian objectivism slapped on top of an altruistic character. It doesn't work. It doesn't function. It's very odd. I don't like the muted colors. And I mean, all this is in the episode, and it is a long episode. It was 3 hours long. It was not a Patreon episode, but I'm posting it here because it is the beginning of a trilogy of episodes. There was this, the BVS, and then the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. The original Justice League got its own episode, but it wasn't Patreon, so I'm not going to repost that one. Yeah, Man of Steel, what a movie, huh? It's still to this day a controversial film in the comic book film community. There are people that will adamantly defend it, and that's fine. You know, love what you love, but I just wish that the discourse wasn't so obnoxious. That's my biggest issue, is that if you say you love this movie, that's fine, but I just wish that the justification for why people love it is more than just, well, it's the true Superman, which is, it's not. Like, it's really not a true version of Superman, because it's clearly an Elseworld storyline. It's a darker take upon the character, which isn't true to the original spirit of the character. So it's a hell of a movie, huh? So This is a non-Patreon episode, but I'm posting it here because it's the first part of a trilogy of fixes that I did, fixing what was essentially the Zack Snyder Snyderverse Superman trilogy. So here is the film rescue of my film rescue of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. Enjoy.
If you can think with an editor's mind while you're recording, it makes everything easier later. I'm editing this in my head as it's happening live. This is the Film Rescue Show, the show with this biggest ego. We're fixing all of Hollywood's mistakes. Welcome to Season 3 as we're kicking off in the new year. I'm your Pitchmaster General, Seth. I'm joined by co-host Brandon.
Hi.
And we have two... I would say guests, but at this point, you guys are like correspondents.
Yeah.
Or like guest hosts.
Because I live 20 minutes away, so it's not that inconvenient for me to show up.
Right. Aaron and Jesse are on with us. How you guys doing?
Hey, doing good. Doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. We're about to not be doing good.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, I'm doing better than I was last night. Thanks.
Yeah.
As promised, we're actually doing Man of Steel today.
This is a long time coming.
No, we're doing Star Trek.
I actually
We're doing
said
Into
that
Darkness.
I wanted to do
Apparently,
Star
Mike
Trek.
wanted to do Star Trek, but I took that from him.
Yeah, I mean, he can always do Into Darkness.
I wanted Star Trek the motion picture, but Jesse said that movie was perfect, and then I
It's
just got
not
too mad to
perfect,
think
but
about
it's good. It's an extended episode of the TV show.
Yeah.
Those beauty
Very
shots.
extended.
I will masturbate to that epic 5-minute shot of the Enterprise when they're at the space dock.
Good night,
Listen,
everybody.
Just because you don't get laid, it doesn't mean that is enough for the rest of us to get off. Okay, I'm just saying.
That soundtrack is amazing.
It is a very good soundtrack.
You're not wrong.
Yeah,
You're not wrong.
That's where we got that's where we got the theme for Star Trek. That's where it comes from. That film,
Oh yeah.
because that was not the theme in
Jesse,
the original
stop
TV
it.
show.
Gross.
And we're off.
Okay, well then.
Yeah, as promised, Man of Steel. This was season 2 confusion. We thought this was going to be Jesse's first pitch. Ended up being Star Trek.
Who's
we don't
to blame?
know what
Who's
happened.
to blame for that
It's
one?
a mystery.
That's what we get for going back and forth in Messenger in the middle of the day.
Lost in the ether. This is what. No,
Lost
really.
in
What
time,
This
lost
what
in
happens
space.
when I don't confirm
Yeah.
Yes.
the film beforehand.
Yes. This is also why I was not on the Best of 2019 episode. You're
Your
still coming
penance.
over today, right? No.
Your penance.
I think part of it was secretly my fault because I was encouraging him to write the Star Trek pitch while he was writing it. So yeah, it's kind of a my bad too, even though I wasn't even on that. I was supposed to be on that episode, but I was sick.
You know, listening back over that episode, that pitch is more Star Trek than any Star Trek we've gotten in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Maybe
much.
beyond.
Maybe because I went back to the motion picture and it's basically just a remade version of the motion picture.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Don't we poo-poo Hollywood for doing that though? Reboot quels.
I'm fine with a reboot as long as it adds something new.
What's the best reboot quel in your opinion?
Reboot quote?
Yeah, like
It's like
we want to do the source material again. Like the new Halloween is just
It's the same-
Halloween
yeah,
again, but it's
fine.
and it still acknowledges the previous films.
Yeah.
You know, a true like reboot without the quill is ignoring everything before it.
Right.
Reboot quill is still within the same
right.
ish timeline.
Force Awakens, I think, is like a good example
Yeah.
of It's a New Hope again. Basically.
maybe like the Spider-Man Homecoming.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's a solid one. I would go with that.
Even though I think the movie is kind of flat
figured it out.
filmmaking wise.
Yeah.
The Hawk. The Hawk was way better.
Yeah. The 2003 Hulk is not very good.
It's so bad.
Ang Lee's Hulk.
It's got some
Fantastic
nice
Four,
ideas in it, but it's still pretty bad.
Talk
even
about a
though-
director who's so 50-50.
Even
From the
though
director of
Wow.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Brokeback Mountain, also the director of Hulk and Gemini Man.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
Gemini. What about you, Aaron? Any
So-
any standout reboot quels?
Well, Hawk is the one that I just proposed, but you know, it's this the reboot is still not good, but the Fantastic Four movie in comparison to the stuff that went before it is proportionally better than I think the gap in any other.
This is why I like Aaron. This is why I like
Are you talking about
Aaron.
Fantastic Four or
Fan
Fan
Four
Four
Stick?
Stick?
She's talking about Fan Four
Okay,
Stick.
yeah. I've said that
Yeah.
I don't hate that movie. I think it's got some nice ideas in it, but it's still a complete mess.
It is, but I mean,
The side
wait,
eye
wait.
from Brandon. Right?
Wait. You, of all people, don't hate Fan Four Stick.
I don't despise it. I didn't say I would watch it.
No, but there's so much that you can hate if it sneezes the wrong way, and you don't hate Fan Four Stick. I am shocked. Shocked and
It
chagrined.
feels like a
Mortified and stupefied.
It feels like what would happen if Cronenberg tried to make a superhero movie.
And then
But
a studio was
mediocre
like,
Cronenberg.
we're gonna cut all the
Yeah,
actual.
we're going to cut
Cron-
all the actual Cronenberg stuff.
but it's not
besides
even
the,
good Cronenberg.
Yeah.
I would watch
and
it.
now you all know what going to film school with Brandon and Jesse and myself was like. It's every single class.
The 5 minutes before Gondor would show up.
I think this is the first
Oh, if
time
he
that
was
the
late
three
to
of us have
class.
actually spoken since we were at AACC.
Yeah.
At the same time, yeah.
at the same
So
time.
if Gondor was late to class, I would start class before him because I needed to get my arguments started before Jesse could open his mouth.
Yeah.
That
Because
sounds
once
about right.
he
I
got
remember
in
that.
that room, if he started before me, it was over.
This sounds like a revenge episode. Class
Yeah.
reunion revenge episode.
Now I would just sit there like,
I like Gondor as a teacher though.
He is probably the best teacher I've ever had. One of the most influential teachers, definitely with my writing. Jesse, I actually hated you in college, but you're pretty okay now, I guess. You were so insufferable, but you weren't as insufferable as that one guy who defined every film as poignant. Okay, let's get
Was
to the
that
movie
Brian?
Man of Steel. Yes,
Is that Brian?
Paco.
Yeah. I don't know what
Every
Man of
happened.
movie
Steel
is
is
poignant.
poignant.
I'm like, do you even know what this word
I
means?
think I remember him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he just meant that as important to him, but he didn't realize that poignant means like for everyone.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it
I
means.
literally said that to him. Probably the only time I've literally used it, like, actually. I can't talk today.
Speaking of quoting Princess Bride, when are we getting a Muppet version of Princess Bride?
That would be,
that's
you know
a
what?
reboot.
That's a remake I'd be okay with.
Right?
Remake, here's how you do a remake for kids. Just take the same movie, just make it with Muppets.
Yep.
That's it.
And have Carrie Elwes come back as Prince Humperdinck instead of his original character.
Oh, but who would play Andre the Giant's role? Like, who could do him nowadays?
Sweetums, the giant Muppet. It's perfect. I can
love
cast.
that.
Yeah.
I could cast any movie with the Muppets.
Yeah.
That's like not even a challenge.
I was
for
thinking
me.
like Snuffleupagus.
Oh,
there you go.
If we have access to Sesame Street characters,
Well,
I
yeah,
can do
that's
any
Sesame Street,
movie.
not Muppets. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
they're technically Jim Henson characters. Same umbrella. All right,
I'm
let's
sure
This is
that-
why Kermit would show up as a reporter on Sesame Street.
This is how much we hate Man of Steel.
For all care,
We've
none of them
avoided
cared
it for the
about
last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think
to
we
talk
gotta
about
talk
the
about the
Muppets.
movie because we're gonna have.
Here's
Seth
how
is
we
gonna
can
have to
tell
edit
we
this down
all
a
hate
lot.
this movie. None of us are talking about Man of Steel right now.
Yeah.
Muppets of Steel.
None of us want to talk about this, but we are here now.
Okay, so you know what? Why don't I get started with just some general overviews?
Because this was your first time
just,
watching it.
It was my first
last
time
night.
watching it. I watched it last night. I'm not going to go into details, but I was chemically imbalanced at the time, so just keep that in
Same.
mind. Pretty much, the color palette was so muted as to be completely unrealistic. Everything looked dirty. They applied too many noise filters to literally everything. The skin tones were literally gritty. Has he ever seen a human skin tone in his life? I'm not 100% convinced that all of the symbolism, like when you're doing the high angle shot on Clark's face and he's lit with golden light and then he's got Jesus in the background, it's so this is like student production level. Okay, so we apply noise to make it gritty, and then we smush the color palette to make it look artsy, and then symbolism. That's like it. Like I saw better films, like better, cinematography and stuff like that in films from when I was in college, and that's disappointing. The action scenes were so long and extended and boring. And you know what? I'm hoping that Jesse includes us in this pitch. I realize that my big problem with superhero films is when you have a character that's all powerful, they are very difficult to believe in. Like you have these scenes when the wind is just whipping around and you have Zod and you have Clark and they are completely unmoved. And like I know they're really strong, but it makes it really obvious that they've been composited into that scene. No amount of editing fixes the fact that they're not even wiggling.
Or even just the fact that like they're trying to make a realistic version of the character. Like it's kind of pointless to do that. Like Grant Morrison wrote All-Star Superman and has also written for Justice League. He's written multiple superhero characters over the years. He said he hates the idea of realistic superheroes, quote unquote. And he says, like, well, how does Superman fly? He just does.
Yeah.
It's just the character.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. Like, you can't be completely realistic because then it feels kind of pointless and he doesn't really have anywhere to go with it because then you're questioning, like, well, wouldn't that, tear his brain out through his skull because he's moving that fast? But it's like
there should be effort, I think. Just even if it's a little bit of a shake to impact. Like, you would
they
think
shook the
that
camera
it would move his
constantly.
nose hairs or something. Oh God, don't even talk to me about camera motion.
Yeah. Like, I'll give you a realistic Batman. Batman falls off a rooftop, falls in an alleyway, breaks his neck.
That happened in the comics.
Realistic Punisher, he makes it about a month, then the cops get him, or the mob gets him, or he accidentally kills an innocent person and blows his brains out from the guilt.
Right.
Realistic X-Men,
Yeah.
the X-Men are fighting Magneto and his acolytes in a crowded area. Their powers go crazy, they kill innocent people, and then neo-Nazis and the KKK storm the mansion and burn everybody at the stake.
But it's
Basically,
not,
the plot of
black and white.
HBO's Watchmen.
Yeah, or even
It's not-
like if you want realistic superheroes, Logan, where it turns out that Xavier has a seizure and kills all the X-Men.
I was just about to mention Logan when you
Yeah,
said
the
that.
only one that survives is Logan because he has a healing ability.
But I mean,
Like
the thing
that's
is
realistic X-Men, and it's
you-
dark and
you-
depressing.
You're treating it like there's two extremes. There's like comic book and that there's hyperrealism. What I would like to see is, okay, Superman, falls from the ground and he's like, oof. Or, he, takes a deep breath right before he flies. Like just anything to indicate that the conditions around him are, he could have been laying there getting a massage for all we knew. Like it just, anything.
Or just
trickle
even
a
like-
little nose hair.
Or even like in the fight scenes, like apparently nothing on Earth can hurt him. Okay.
And no one has
Well,
facial
why is it that the
expressions.
Kryptonians, whenever they're fighting, no one takes battle damage? There's no bruising, there's no blood, there's no broken bones, nobody gets hurt, which makes all the fight scenes seem pointless because no one is taking any damage.
Well, and
They're like action figures, just slapping into each other.
It's exactly what it feels like. They feel very, the vampire. Oh God, the vampires in Twilight. They're supposed to be like made out of marble, and like they feel like they're made out of marble. I'm sorry, I hate going this direction, but and that's one of the things that I hated about it. It's like it needs to have some organic element. He can't just be like alien and hard and completely uninfected. Like I have him tear his jersey. Oh my God, have him tear his uniform or something like that. Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember and there's little like caveats in the comics for when they don't want to have to replicate battle damage forever. And they're like, oh, his aura extends to his suit and that's why it doesn't tear.
Yeah.
And then like 10 issues later, Doomsday shows up and he's getting
the crap beaten out
torn
of
to
him.
pieces. And it's like, okay, I understand why you would establish that and then take it away later.
Yeah.
But this movie was kind of just like, nah, I mean, there's no stakes. There's no scene with him after the punch up where he's got like bruising all over his ribs.
Or at least there's no stakes for Superman as a character or a person. The city gets wrecked.
Right.
Yeah.
But that that leads into
segue.
something else. Like in the game version of Superman Returns, the character Superman you play as doesn't actually take any damage. He can get knocked out, but he can't be killed.
Right.
But the city can take damage. So if you're causing destruction and the city gets wrecked too much, the game ends.
Right.
That's the way that you should do it. Like, he should try to stop the battle damage and not actively contribute to it.
Right.
Yeah.
But instead, he's just uncaring, doesn't give a crap about anyone around him. Like, that's that scene where it's like the entirety of like 10 square blocks has been wrecked by the world machine or the world engine, and it's like they float down and it's like there's ash of human beings floating around them and like no one's reacting to it.
Right.
It is the most piss poor direction. It's like a prequel of Star Wars. It looks like no one knows what's happening around them. They'll just insert it later.
Right. Brandon, how do you feel about Man of Steel?
I think it has some problems.
I remember back when this came out and you were just like, yeah, it's not that bad. And you and I just railed against it and you were defending it with that.
I remember
other
you
guy.
made that bit strips comic.
Yes. And
It's like, wow,
you were
he's
defending
that
it with
annoyed
that
by
other
me.
guy.
He made a bit strip.
You were defending it with that other guy who was a
That is
huge
so
Valiant
fucking
person who is now
petty.
hated by the
Good,
Valiant
we're after
community.
10 minutes, but that is so fucking petty.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, that's why you were invited on initially was
To do
I
he
brought
was
up Man of
petty?
Steel in passing, and
Oh.
Brandon was like, "You need to beat Jesse because he's going to rip you a new one."
yeah.
I, thought
I
you
will
invited him
say,
because he was petty.
every subsequent rewatch, I like it a little less.
Yeah.
That's fair.
just-
That's totally fair.
Yeah. It just less and less it functions like an actual movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the structure, doesn't have the proper methodology, doesn't have the right themes, doesn't even get the character right. Like, yes, he's wearing the suit, but it's not really Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have any kind of
Facial
character arc.
expressions.
It doesn't have spatial expressions, doesn't have any kind of character arc. He doesn't feel like he grows as a person.
Yeah.
His
No.
arc is kind of solved 30 minutes into the movie and then doesn't really change after that.
Yeah, and then and then it's just a bunch
gets
of
a
battle
suit.
scenes
That's
where
what he
he's
gets.
just flying people into buildings, and it's like, how many people can you see flown into a building before you get just absolutely bored?
Yeah.
Like, the fight
Or
scenes
even-
just had no depth, even though
No,
they
it's
were
just punch,
long.
punch, 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 punch. It's like you have lasers. He has ice breath, but doesn't use it at any point in any of these movies.
Yeah.
Like
It's so wooden.
Yeah, and I know everyone likes to say like, oh, the Richard Donner movies are really corny and cheesy now, but
They're fun.
it's Superman. It's like that's what it is. That's
He's a fucking nerd.
It feels more genuine.
it feels more genuine. It feels like there's
yeah.
more heart to it. And everyone says, oh, well, Man of Steel's too long. The original Richard Donner movie is 3 hours.
Yeah.
It is 3 hours long. And technically it's 2 movies because they
That's the
filmed 1 and
extended
2.
cut, though. That's the TV version.
No, it's the original cut of the
God
original
damn
film was 3 hours
If you're
long.
saying the original cut,
The original
yes.
cut of
which they finally released on Blu-ray, by the way.
the original cut of the original Superman from 78?
78.
Yeah, it's 3 hours long. And then they did Superman 2 at the same time. They were filming them back to back, and then Richard Donner got fired.
Yeah, and then they brought in Richard Lester.
Yeah,
which
and
is
then-
why we have the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2,
Yeah.
which is
Not great, but it's okay.
it's definitely more of an experimental piece since
Yeah.
they had to use screen test footage.
They
and-
used
Yeah.
they rehashed the spin the world
Yeah,
back
and
in
then-
time.
Well, worked again.
Is
Yeah.
that like a precursor to the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League?
Uh-huh.
They're gonna look
I
back
really
at-
do think it is. In a weird way, I think it is actually. It's like, well, I guess we're doing this again.
Yeah.
If
You know,
you need
speaking about length, one of my
Yeah.
issues is
Giggity.
when the film started. I guess Laura is supposed to be like an actual strong female character, and
She's a
wasn't
stronger
really
character in the
strong.
books. She's a
Yeah.
much stronger character in the books.
And I think that they realized, like, hey, she's not really strong based on what we have her doing, so we're going to start this film with a long extended labor scene that we don't need. Like, a lot of the stuff at the beginning was completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
And, okay, here's the thing. When I see a film and it starts with a big action scene and it's extended and it doesn't necessarily seem 100% important to the plot, do you know what that says to me? That says to me that where the film was actually supposed to start was too boring and that they
Yeah.
needed something at the beginning to get the audience's attention. And
It's filler. It's filler.
so it's that
Filler at the beginning.
beginning.
So for those who haven't listened to our podcast about Six Underground yet,
Oh,
never mind.
that's a big yikes.
Oh
Well,
God.
and there was another warning sign because I'm like, okay, well, sometimes that's all right. Sometimes they have a lot of story that needs to be told, whatever. They need to have a boring part. But then I saw that it was edited to not be in continuity. And I'm like, when you're doing non-continuity, you can make it have action scenes whenever you want. And those little flashbacks, like every time you see, Clark have a moment of personal development, he flashes back to a scene from his childhood. And I'm like, you know what? All these scenes are like, they're bonus features. They're things for, the novelization. They're not things for the theatrical release of the film. Maybe one or two of these flashbacks to childhood, but we get it. He was a tormented youth. Like it's, these are all tropes that we're familiar with. They're not things that are unfamiliar. This character has had so many things that are derivative from it. So we know the themes of a disaffected youth. We know the themes of the reluctant hero. We don't need to have these things explained to us. We're bored. I don't care.
Yeah. And even then, like, the flashbacks don't actually quite fit with the event that just occurred. Like, when he flashes back to his first moment of childhood where he gets the X-ray vision and the heat vision.
He doesn't use it.
He doesn't use it at any point. But then also, that scene that predates that is the oil rig. Yeah. And he just gets crushed. And then he's like passed out in the water. Like, first off, why is he not drowning? Secondly, even though it's a beautiful shot, thematically that doesn't match up with the scene that follows after it.
Yeah.
Right.
Him as a kid doesn't match up with him in the water. Like,
it's
like, the world's big, the whales are big. Like,
can we talk about
it's so blunt.
How bad that line is for a child to say?
That is one of the worst written lines. Well, it's not the worst written line, but it's close. The Zod statement of there's only ends one way, either you die or I do. That's not how that works.
Could have reworded that a little better.
Yeah, there's only one way this ends. That means you only say he dies.
Right.
You don't give a choice.
There's only one way this ends, Cal. Either you die or I do.
I'm breaking up.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, go for it. If you need an example of how tonally inconsistent this film is, there's a 30 seconds of this film you could clip out and see it just in perfection.
Is it the moment when they're in the briefing room scene and Lois is talking with Clark and he casually breaks the handcuffs?
No, because that was supposed to be a joke, but it's along those lines. So that
actually is an okay scene. I actually like that scene.
I don't hate it. And it's like one of the few times the humor works in the movie. One of the other times where it does not work is General Zod shows up. We're in the army like headquarters. They're reacting to Zod showing up. Cuts to alert, low toner.
Yeah, that was funny.
On the printer.
Oh, yeah.
And then Lois Lane's like, what's going on? And they're like, there's aliens. And then it goes back into exactly the same tone of the last scene. The joke is just there.
Yeah.
It's not levity because we're about to go into exactly the same feeling of the last scene.
Mm-hmm.
Was this necessary?
So we've been shitting on it for a bit. What was everybody's favorite scene in the film?
I just said mine, which was the briefing room between Lois and Clark, where he's just like casually discussing, things. But I will say that scene does have another problem, which is that the whole thing about the S is like it's a symbol for hope. Like that's not what it means. It's the symbol for the house of L. Every house has its own symbol.
Spelled with an H, stupid.
I was just thinking it. But yeah, it's like in the book Superman Birthright, written by Mark Waid. I actually read that in preparation for this. There is a line in the book that says, people now know it stands for hope, it stands for peace, it stands for Superman. It doesn't literally mean it.
Right.
It's just Lois Lane is saying, like, now that we know who this is, it stands for something that we can all believe in. It doesn't literally mean hope. The bluntness of saying, like, oh, it stands for hope. But then you look at the rest of the movie and it's just misery and destruction everywhere. Right. It's like,
honestly,
it's cognitive dissonance. They wanted to have him ascend to being Superman, but fundamentally, morally, spiritually, he never reaches that point.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm glad that they didn't go with an S word like serenity or sanctity or supremacy or like just another, Judeo-Christian reference, since the movie is just absolutely full of them.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Jesus.
How about you?
Salo.
How about you, Aaron? What's your favorite scene?
My favorite scene was definitely the X-ray vision scene while he was a child. I think that scene was really well done, and I would have loved to see it in like a psychological thriller. Like if they made that scene into a separate movie that was a psychological thriller or a horror movie.
Did you mean Brightburn?
I was about to say.
Yeah, Brightburn. It's basically Brightburn. Which is also,
still need to see, but that's all I heard. It's like, oh yeah, what if Man of Steel were intentionally a horror film?
It's kind of a failure of a film, but it has nice ideas in it.
It's on the chopping block for next month.
There was a book written by Warren Ellis that I really like called The Authority, which was a spinoff from a book he did called Stormwatch, which was very topical, very political, and it didn't sell at all. So Warren Ellis scrapped it and started writing The Authority, which was on the Wildstorm imprint from DC, which is kind of like a parallel universe, an adjacent universe to DC. It is what happens if superheroes are completely realistic. But he basically says in interviews, yeah, the Authority are definitely the bad guys. They're kind of like, they can see all the different dimensions and sort of police all the dimensions. They are the Authority. We are in charge. Don't fuck with us. And so, in the first issue, like first page, massive destruction. Moscow gets wiped out. The entire city gets flooded just so they can get one guy. And at the tail end of the story, they take a giant knife and ram it right through the heart of God. It's very dark, kind of depressing, but it is exactly what this film kind of feels like. It's that big, grandiose, massive destruction. But in terms of that story, that's appropriate for that because they are essentially, they don't care.
Right.
The bigger picture is more important.
Sure.
You know, if the cost is worth it, it's all fine.
Right.
But the problem is, this is Superman. It's Superman. You can't do that. You can't get to that.
How about you, Brandon? Favorite scene?
I'm gonna say when Superman has to destroy the terraformer in, I guess it landed in India on
It's
the
like
other
the
side.
South Indian Ocean or something like that.
Yeah. Just because that probably is the only moment in the film where you do feel like the slightest bit of stakes for him. Like, hey, he might not actually get through this. In fact, once he does destroy it, he has to like try to get the sun to like soak in his hands. Like, I need a little bit of energy, it can help. But also just the music, the Hans Zimmer score, just all of it combined together. It's like the glimmer of what it could have been.
But still, it's like it's him not really versus a person. It's him punching a robot.
True, but still, like even that's the thing. It's like it shouldn't be a robot that's actually like weakening him. Yet there is that moment where you're like, oh, he might actually have a weakness here. He actually barely accomplishes the goal. Like
also heavy Brainiac vibes in that scene. They were trying hard to set that up.
I will say I like the visual style because that is. I will say this film does rip off a lot of stuff. Did any of you guys watch the documentary "The Death of Superman Lives"?
Oh yeah,
it rips off a lot of stuff from that, like the idea of the weird tentacle things coming out of the terraformer. That is completely ripped off from that. And everyone says, oh, well, this movie is meant to have new stuff, but it clearly cannibalizes from multiple sources.
Oh, for sure.
Like it rips off like Fallout, like the suits of the Kryptonians look like the Brotherhood of Steel. They completely look like the Brotherhood of Steel. And then you have all the things like, God, there's like a whole list of things that I wrote down like it rips off. It's trying to be its own thing, but at the same time, it just completely cannibalizes from other pieces of material which are much better.
Not to harp on color palette, but the shots in South Indian Ocean in this movie compared to the opening shots of Batman v Superman.
Oh,
in the
they're
South
so
Indian
different.
It's like some executives pass him a note that was like, if there's no color, we're going to castrate you.
But then you look at the
green bitch.
But then you look at the rest of the movie.
Lois had green hair. Lois had green hair. I hate that. As a person with red hair, I hate when pictures of me have green hair. Like, ugh. And they were going so hard with Dana Scully vibes with her at several points, especially when she was doing her little voiceovers about extraterrestrial and biggity sinus words, science. So it was flopping, and I think it wasn't her. I think that Amy Adams.
She's a very poor choice. Very poor.
She was doing the best she could with that material, though. She was trying hard. But I mean, they were really trying for Mad Scully vibes, but they just didn't have quite the right actress for that, or quite the right writing for that.
Yeah. In general, I like Amy Adams, but she is horribly miscast in this film.
True.
She's cute though.
Yeah. That's the only recast I had in my pitch, which is that the only person that gets recast is her. Everybody else is fine. Henry Cavill is a good actor.
Yeah.
He's a very good. I mean, I finished watching The Witcher on Netflix. He's very good.
But
he actually has a personality.
And you'll probably break the curse of being forever known just for Superman. Every other live action actor, pretty much.
Even Brandon Routh, he's like, he can't escape it. He just did Kingdom Come Superman. No, he did Kingdom Come Superman now.
He's done it once. And now he's done Crisis on Infinite Earth.
But brave of him, too. I'm going to say, like.
I think he embraced it. He's like, you know what? This is what everyone's going to remember me for anyway.
And he looks great, too.
He does look good. He looks exactly like Kingdom Come Superman.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, the only recast I had was that Amy Adams,
Discord is breaking up, guys. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, you're
you
fine.
sound great.
Yeah. The only recast I had was instead of Amy Adams, Anna Kendrick as Lois Lane.
Interesting with Henry Cavill. I can see the pair.
I don't know how tall he is compared to how short she is. She probably has to lift her up.
Yeah.
But that's like very comic book-esque.
Yeah, true.
We're going to take a quick break, our first of two, and when we come back, we're going to do Jesse's book report on Ayn Rand. If he suffered, so do we. I'm actually cutting this in after the fact, just because, man, this was a long podcast, and I forgot to go to breaks. Oh, well. If you'd like to be on the show and not do a 4-hour version, but maybe an hour and a half version, at Film Rescue Show on Twitter and filmrescueshow@gmail.com. Send us your pitch, pick your movie, let us know what you want to talk about. We will bring you on the show. I promise. Now to Michael, who's going to say some bullshit about how I make him do stuff, even though his section was, let's say 2 weeks late, maybe a week late. Who knows? I'm like a week late. He makes it sound like I'm a slave master. I'm not a slave driver, guys. I gave him plenty of time. So whatever he says, don't believe him. It's bullshit.
Hey, welcome to Michael's Film Whatever, because Seth needs his video right now. So, Mr. Prima Donna wants his video. I just got out of seeing 1917. I guess I'll just make the video because I guess I work for Seth because he sucks. Anyway, welcome to Michael's Film Whatever, Superman edition. I sabotaged that podcast a little bit and then listened to a very good pitch. Spoiler alert. Jesse has some good ideas. But anyway, so I decided, hey, I've watched a lot of comic book movies. Let me watch some animated ones. So I watched 3 Superman animated movies. The problem is I couldn't find one that I didn't already like. So let's talk about them. All-Star Superman, which is easily one of my favorite movies of all of the Superman animateds. It tells about Superman getting overexposed to the sun, and he's going to die. He's literally going to die. And so it's just this kind of tragic tale of him trying to wrap things up and do things a certain way. And it ends up being probably one of the best Superman stories out there. I would say, honestly, if I'm nitpicking, I don't like the voice. I think that's when it's a Baldwin. I think that's the one that's a Baldwin. Can't remember, but it didn't sound great. Like, some of these voices for Superman, which have changed way too much since animated series, don't sound great. This is on that list, but the story it's trying to tell is really well done. And it's kind of tragic because, spoiler, he dies at the end of All-Star Superman. On the Superman animated scale, it's a 9. Regular movie scale, I'd still say it's like a 7. Then I saw Superman, Batman, Apocalypse, or Batman, Superman, Apocalypse. It's one of those two. That one's also one of my favorites. If you know nothing about Darkseid and the god of Apocalypse, you need to watch this movie. It's basically him fucking around with everybody and trying to pin people against each other the entire time. So it's basically Darkseid giving his chess match. And he also does get to Superman, and Superman gets pissed, which doesn't help. This also is an introduction to Supergirl. If you've never seen her before, she's in this movie. It's fantastic. It's fun. And this time, the voice actors don't suck in this film. I would say it's probably on the Superman scale, like 9 out of 10. And then, of course, real movie scale, I give it an 8. A little bit better. I think it's a little better than All-Star Superman when it's telling the story that it's telling. Yeah, you like that, Seth? See that? The video is completely dark, you ass. That's what you get. Then anyway, then I didn't know if I wanted to do Batman, Superman, Public Enemies, or Superman and Shazam, The Return of Black Adam. The easiest one to find was Black Adam. It's okay, I guess. If we're going to give it a shitty movie, I would give it to that. It's still fine, but it doesn't really go into the intrinsicies that are Black Adam in a way. And Shazam is fun, and it shows just how good he is. I really don't like that what he doesn't understand about his power is that Superman's actually weak to magic, which means he can actually beat him. Cool movie, fun idea, just misses on some of the landing, just doesn't get stuck. I'd say Superman scale, it's probably like a 6. Real movie scale, I'd say it's probably the weakest, probably like a 4. Anyway, this has been my film whatever. Get back to this. I hope Seth's happy that he got his fucking content. That fucking prick. I fucking hate you.
And we're back.
Yes.
Finally.
Welcome
Thanks,
back.
Discord.
Hey, hey, sisters. So,
Oh my god,
Jesse,
I've been watching too much YouTuber drama. Please don't.
Jesse did what has yet been to be done on this show.
Yes.
A book report.
Yeah. Well, I read half of it.
Double spaced.
I read
10-point font.
I read The Fountainhead, or at least half of it, by Ayn Rand, which was her. Basically, the book exists specifically to push her concept, her philosophy of objectivism, which essentially is the concept that the rational self-interest, the ability to be selfish, is the most important thing a human being can do in the world. And Zack Snyder is an objectivist and used The Fountainhead as the basis for Batman v Superman. Like, you have these two individuals that are fundamentally at odds with each other, even though the movie doesn't really have that.
No.
Because it fundamentally doesn't work that way. But he used The Fountainhead as the basis for that. Like, Ellsworth M. Toohey in the book is kind of like jittery, uptight, bit pretentious. That's basically Lex Luthor. And that's why he's even described as being lanky. And in a lot of ways, that's why Jesse Eisenberg was cast.
Right.
Like,
surprise, guys.
he just looks like...
We wanted Heisenberg, not Eisenberg.
Exactly, yeah. And and Superman, Clark Kent is Howard Rourke. He's very cold, stoic, only invested with his work, no friends, doesn't talk to anybody. Like, that's Ayn Rand's vision of the perfect man.
And Batman is Howard Rourke, cold and subdued.
It should be that way. You can apply objectivism to Batman, but it doesn't work with Superman.
Right.
But they used Peter Keating is apparently meant to be Batman, which is like the guy that wants to be part of the big collective. Like, but that's not Batman.
Yeah.
That's Superman.
not at all.
Because Superman wants to help people, but Batman
that's weird.
helps people, but only by using it as an excuse to commit revenge. Like I said, the writing of that movie is piss poor. And so I read The Fountainhead to try to understand like the origin point for what Snyder was trying to get to. And Snyder, when asked years before he would do this movie, would you do a Superman movie? His blunt one-word answer was no. No. And if you go
foreshadowing,
and he was pushing the objectivist philosophy a lot years before this with Watchmen.
Yeah.
If you look at Watchmen, he makes Rorschach the coolest fucking guy. Even though he's a racist, misogynist, right-wing, homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic piece of shit, he's not a good guy on the best of days. Yet he gets the best scenes.
Yep.
He gets the best scenes because he is the objectivist philosophy. He was in the book, Rorschach is an adaptation of a character called The Question that is fundamentally objectivist.
Yeah.
And so with Snyder feeling sympathy for Rorschach, that's why Night Owl views his death in the film and he freaks out and, gets upset with Dr. Manhattan over it. In the book, no one is a witness to his death.
Yeah.
No one knows and no one cares because he's not worth being mourned for, because Alan Moore vehemently hates objectivism. Yeah. So, but then he hates a lot of things. But the movie got the wrong message. And there's been multiple articles that have come out since that film's release that says how you can directly adapt a piece of material and still get the wrong idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just completely misses the point because I think Zack Snyder is not really a comic book guy. I think he fakes it because you just look at this material and it's like, okay, you have the moments, but not what the moments mean. You completely miss the point.
Yeah.
And then you look at Superman and it's like, it's his excuse to push his own ideology or push Ayn Rand's ideology in this. So like there's a point in The Fountainhead where Howard Rourke has been ostracized by basically the idea is that Howard Rourke is an architect who gets kicked out of architecture school. And just the premise of this book is fucking stupid. And he goes off to become his own man. Like he's going to be, I will not bend to anybody else's will. I will do things on my own terms because I am my own man. I am the one that will, I am the one who will guide you to a better way of thinking.
Yeah.
and he's designing a house for this random person. I can't remember the guy's name. But somebody says, man, it's so great you took my ideas into account when you were designing your house. And he says, but I don't think of you. I only think of my work. That's his version of Superman, is that I don't think of you. I only think of what I'm doing. It's like, which is fundamentally wrong.
Why do I get the feeling Ayn Rand would read Harry Potter and go, that Voldemort guy, that's the protagonist.
Yeah, exactly. Like he knows what he's all about himself.
Definitely would.
Yeah, and there's even a point in the book where it's like this is supposed to be the like her idea of the perfect man, the rational man. There's a character in the book named Dominique Francone who is extremely cold, very callous, doesn't have any real emotion at all. Yet I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure that's Ayn Rand. She wrote herself into her own book, and there's a point in the book where Howard Rourke breaks into her house and rapes her, and she enjoys it. So I feel like Ayn Rand, her sexual kink was rape fantasies.
Interesting.
She was into some fucked up shit.
I mean, do each their own, but...
Do each your own, but...
Is she a Mary Sue otherwise in the book?
What was that?
Is she a Mary Sue otherwise in the book?
Every character's a Mary Sue.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's perfect. And like the entire book, like the world of New York City is so unpopulated. There's barely anybody in the city. And everyone is obsessed with architecture. Like it's a big, grand thing. It's such a dumb concept to wrap a story around.
Yeah.
Like, it really just doesn't make any sense, but this is what she wanted to talk about. And so, there's a clip on YouTube I showed you this clip of Howard Rourke from the film adaptation of The Fountainhead, which was adapted by Ayn Rand.
Right.
And it talks about, in the point of the end of the book where Howard Rourke's work has been stolen by somebody else and had his work wrecked by another architect, and somebody else takes credit for his work. When he sees that building being built, he goes and blows it up. He gets arrested, and he in court defends himself and says, look, I am a creator. My creation was taken from me, so I blew it up. And so he goes into this idea of the creator and the parasite. That's the only two kinds of people that are in the world. The creator creates based upon their own individual self-interest, and the parasites leech upon that. That's the only two things that exist in the world, the black and the white.
Right.
So Superman is the creator, and everybody else leeches off of that? And that's kind of why when you see that rescuing scene in Batman v Superman, which was mandated by the studio, Superman is doing it with a frown and a scowl, like he doesn't want to do it.
Right.
Oh, God.
That's why. Because Zack Snyder doesn't want to do that.
Right.
And I actually found this
Putting
quote.
the BS in BVS.
I found this quote by Ayn Rand from, I think it was a Playboy magazine interview from 1964.
Only for the articles.
No, it's her. This is her views on charity. Quote,
Okay.
my views on charity are very simple. I do not consider it a major virtue, and above all, I do not consider it a moral duty. There is nothing wrong in helping other people if and when they are worthy of the help and you can afford to help them. I regard charity as a marginal issue. What I am fighting is the idea that charity is a moral duty and a primary virtue. Kind of like Superman.
Does Ayn Rand...
Fundamentally, it doesn't work.
Does Ayn Rand read A Christmas Carol and go, why is he getting evil through the book?
Why do people not like this guy? Like, he's only looking out for his own self-interest.
He starts out so great and then turns into a villain by the end. What the fuck?
And this is why I have such a problem with people defending the Zack Snyder cut of, like, wanting to see his version of Justice League, or people defending BVS, being like, it's an intelligent movie and you just missed the point. And somebody even said at one of his Q&As after BVS, they said, this movie doesn't make any sense. It's incomprehensible. He said, and I quote, you just don't fucking get it. End quote.
Isn't that what Nintendo said about the Wii U?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And it's like,
There you go.
and just fundamentally, it doesn't make any sense. And that's like, I see all these people defending Zack Snyder. I'm like, why? Why? Fundamentally, he doesn't care about you. He's the creator. You're the parasites. He doesn't think of you. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about Superman. He doesn't care about this material.
He thinks about the dollar signs and what it's going to do for his bank account.
Yeah, like they rolled up to his house with a truckload of money and dumped it on his front lawn. He said, okay, I'll do that. He's a yes man. Like, nobody said no when making this movie. It's clear from watching the movie that nobody said no.
Can I have Batman raped in prison? No, Zach, you can't have Batman raped in prison.
Yeah, exactly. It just feels like he just did this stuff to push his own ideas and his own agenda and make Ayn Rand seem like she's the coolest person in the world, even though fundamentally she makes no sense. And also worth noting, She apparently got along really well with Friedrich Nietzsche, who invented the concept of the Superman, the man who chooses who lives and who dies.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, they disagreed silosophically, but overall, they liked each other as people. But the idea of the Superman was the inspiration for the character that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster came up with. Originally, he was going to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
And then they reworked it and said, no, we'll make him a good guy. So you have this weird cognitive dissonance going on with this film where it's like they want to make the traditional Superman character, but then you have the objectivist philosophy, and it's like objectivism and altruism are diametrically opposed to one another.
Right.
They do not mix. This is why people are creeped out watching these movies.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because you've touched on a couple of characters, and I want to know what your thoughts are on the Lois character versus what archetypes she may be representing in the Fountainhead. Because one of the things that I noted in the film is that they try to make Lois be this badass female character by giving her all of these important roles. But it's like almost in order to balance that, to make sure that she still feels like a damsel in distress, Superman has to save her life like 6 times. I stopped counting. It was like every other minute she was getting her life saved by Superman.
Yeah, and there is a character.
There
is a character in the book that Peter Keating is in love with. I can't remember her name, but she's kind of like flaky, a little kind of dim-witted. She's always holding Peter back. And so it's almost like she is just there to hold back that individual from his full potential. If Lois wasn't there, he could ascend to his highest potential.
If Lois
and that's what I said.
Take time to save people.
Lois has no purpose in this movie. She is there for people to expedite. She is there for people to promote exposition to. She is the proxy at which other characters exposite to.
Well, can we also talk about how this whole thing where you have scenes with Clark and her, and they're like just about to kiss, and it's like you can't kiss, you haven't saved the world, like that. I hate that stupid narrative, that whole like
and they don't know anything
success narrative.
They don't know anything about each other. Like she's immediately attracted to him, which is weird.
He is pretty hot.
Yeah.
That captain, that like army captain, that was like, he's just kind of hot. No. Do you have any friends in the military? They're not like that.
He just wrecked an entire city and let 5 million people die.
Right.
Like, everyone's dead, but apparently he's awesome.
Yeah,
I know you're trying to find out where I hang my cape.
Zod probably would have never found his way there. So like the whole problem is that every problem that Superman fixes, Superman causes. Every problem that Lois fixes, Lois causes. So it's like, okay, just fucking get rid of it. Here's my problem. I never liked any of the characters. I never liked any of the characters. Yeah, that is very relatable. Maybe that's why I don't like this movie, because I'm just so deeply embroiled in being my own worst enemy. And wow, okay, I'm gonna need therapy after this.
Everybody needed therapy after seeing this movie because it's such a fucking shock. The first time you see like the 9/11 times 1,000 in this movie, that is so absolutely inappropriate. Then yes, it is realistic to what it would be like if Superman existed, but what does it really look like? It's a nightmare.
Yeah,
it's a nightmare. I'm glad Superman doesn't exist,
and he should feel bad about it.
He should feel bad about it, but
it's bad, and you should feel bad.
It's Howard Rourke. He doesn't care about anybody around him. He is the only important thing.
Those parasites wanting to be saved cause their city to get destroyed.
Well, and that's the problem when you have that character like that. That character like I'm so self-important and I'm the main character and la da da. It makes all of the other characters unimportant. Like I didn't care about any of the characters. I can't remember a film that I have literally liked no one, except for like I like a trait of that character. I was so just over it that by the time we got to the scene with the bus and the kids drowning, I was just sitting there singing, "The kids on the bus go drown, drown, drown." Like, I was so over it. I didn't care about any of the characters.
Yeah, it just Zack Snyder trying to defend this movie is just like, oh, you just don't get it. It's just like, God, like, and all the people that defend Zack Snyder, I'm just like, why would you defend him? Like, why? Like, do you have any kind of sense of self-worth? Do you fuckers ever get laid? I can tell you Zack Snyder gets laid because he's got 8 fucking kids. Well, no scratch, he's got 7 kids.
Wow. Wow.
Dude, I had to read the fucking Fountainhead. You can ride my fucking meat rack, okay? Look, I don't care. Zack Snyder, I've heard like,
how's everyone at home doing?
Look, there's a difference between character and personality.
Yeah.
Like, in meeting Zack Snyder in person, like for 5 minutes, I'm sure, he's a nice guy. But the longer you're with that person, the more shit comes out.
Sure.
And that's what I think the situation is here. Everyone would just like met with him. They're like, oh, he seems like a nice guy. And then they got roped into contracts and they're just kind of like, oh, shit.
This is why people don't hang out with me for long either. So I'm pretty
I
sure.
put up with you for an awful long while.
At the risk of alienation of a certain kind of internet person, to answer your question, why do people defend this? I think in general there are people who just kind of like it and don't tear it apart.
They don't think about it.
They don't tear it apart, and I don't think that's necessary.
To watch movies and not think about them.
I wish I could remember.
Like what you like. I mean, everybody can like everything,
right?
But if I just feel like if you're going to really defend this, have a reason.
Well, the people that I'm going to alienate with this, there's a subsect of media consumptionists, for lack of a better term, that need things to be always objective, always logical. Plot has to have zero holes. Nobody cares about.
I can't make an honest trailer of this. It's too perfect.
Which is impossible. It's impossible to have a story that has zero holes.
They don't care about emotional beats, character development. It's all about the logics. They think film criticism is objective.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to point out a specific fandom, although I could pick 3 off the top of my head that drive me insane. But they think things are absolutely objective. And then when they watch a series of 3 films from one filmmaker that get increasingly larger with the running theme of objectivism, and like... there are plot holes in these movies. Let's be honest here.
Every movie has problems. I mean,
right.
The thing that's most important in a film is just, are you emotionally engaged with it?
Right.
No.
Do you care about Superman?
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't care about any of these people. That's the fundamental problem. No interesting characters.
But if you have a purely objective character in a film and you're that kind of person, that is like watching The Matrix and seeing yourself as Neo. Like he's a blank face to insert yourself onto. They're seeing an objective face to insert themselves onto.
Yeah.
And that's why they love it. And I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. I think the discourse suffers for it. But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's a subjective opinion.
Hey now.
Sorry, I got distracted thinking of myself as Trinity in leather pants. Continue.
Listen, we've all been there.
You could apply what's the red letter media test? Describe a character without saying their kind of occupation, what kind of costume they wore or role in the film. Describe the character as if you'd never watched the film.
And the good meter for that is Jor-El.
Yeah. Like, can you describe this person without discussing them, without discussing like occupation or role in the film?
Right.
No.
I brought it up last night in our group chat. If you need an example of a Mary Sue in film in the last decade, Jor-El, my man, can do everything, and he's perfect at all of it.
Yep.
He can skydive, he can fight, he can talk about climate change and geography, and apparently he knows how to infuse genetic shit into his son and also plot a course to Earth. And
can I just say, like, that is the dumbest concept, the Codex. That is so... First off, why is,
Okay, so when they explained...
It makes Superman more important than he really is. In the original story, it's just a random coincidence he ends up on Earth.
Yeah.
It's just random. It's just totally random that he ends up on Earth. It's never like, oh, we're sending him there specifically. Like, why do they care? They wouldn't care.
Right.
We need to escape Krypton. That's it. But by putting this idea that he is like this godlike being that will resurrect Krypton,
literally a line in the movie is like they have the perfect son.
He will be a god to them.
Yeah.
And even like why is it that having a naturally born child is heresy? Like, wouldn't you want that? Doesn't that mean like whatever genetic deformities you've been having are now gone?
For real.
Isn't that a good thing?
I don't know. Like when they got to the scene where they were showing about how...
I have a list of all the problems of this movie, and it's like 80 issues. And I'll just run through the list real quick when we get to it. But
go ahead.
Continue.
When they did the whole thing about how Superman contained all of the life on Krypton, and they showed the visual and everything like that, I was just so disconnected from the film at that point in time that I was just imagining Superman running around shooting other Kryptonians out of his dick like they were Pokeballs, like just hip thrust right out, like just giving birth to all those Kryptonians again.
I mean, was that the plan, or was he supposed to?
I don't know.
Perfect man.
Yeah.
Perfect man. Howard Rourke.
Yep.
He's
perfect
gonna
man.
So he's gonna sleep with all of them.
I've written in that this is the script that was written backwards. They knew where they wanted to get to, but they needed to write those plot points to get to it.
Yeah.
It didn't matter how convoluted or weird the plot structure was. All that mattered was get to that end point.
Yeah.
And this is a time frame in film where movies were coming out that had excessively complicated plots, like Star Trek Into Darkness, The Dark Knight, Skyfall. Like these big movies had these excessively complicated plots.
Yeah.
Because everyone thought, oh, complicated equals good.
You know what's really good? When you take a simple plot and you do it so well, the people are like, wow, this is still a really fantastic film. That is skill, you know?
No, you're right.
True.
The counterbalance to this movie is Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh.
The counterbalance, like a film that has lots of character development, but all done visually. Very simple premise, very simple plot, but amazing action, great emotional investment. And it's just the simplest thing in the world. Escape from Immortan Joe.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly.
Oh
that
my
is
God.
100%.
And then go back.
You know what I forgot?
And then go back.
And then go back. You know what I forgot about Mad Max until I rewatched it after our best of because I was, it's a perfect movie and I love watching it every time.
I do hate the day from night shooting scene.
Yeah.
That's a little, but if you shot it at night, there'd be unmotivated light sources everywhere and it would look weird.
Yeah. It's probably one of the few movies that earns the Michael Bay circle shot when Furiosa, they get to their destination and she just falls into the desert and it's just this big sweeping Michael Bay circle shot. And I was like, damn, you earned that, boy. So good. I want to talk about Mad Max instead of Man of Steel now. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's but like I say, you just look at Mad Max and it's so simple and it's just beloved by everyone. Like, and then you look at Man of Steel and it's just, everything is wrong. There's so little that actually functions properly like a film.
Yeah. So much like Martin Luther and his 95 Theses is what it was called. I was trying to think of it during the break. Jesse has his 80 Theses
I've got
to post on Clark Kent's door.
I took
or
note
Zack
of these.
Snyder's, I guess.
I took note of these as I was.
I'm still here, by the way.
Yes, hello. How are you doing?
Oh, yeah. What is your name again?
Good question.
So as I was watching the film, I would watch it, and if a problem came up, I would pause and write it down. So I wrote these out. So
the movie took like 5 hours to watch.
Oh, yeah. It did take 5 hours. Yeah,
he's actually still watching it right now as we talk.
All right. So
I did take a break about an hour and 11 minutes when I paused, thinking I was 3/4 of the way, and I was halfway, and I just came downstairs and hung out with the cats for a little bit. I was just like,
oh my God,
Aaron, you were watching, and you were like, "There's 45 minutes left."
Our group chat is just me like, how am I not even halfway done? How is there still 45 minutes? Like, what?
I devolved into just GIFs.
Yeah,
and Feora being hot but underutilized. She was so hot and like she had so much potential to be a really cool character because she seemed like really badass, but
she's the analog of Ursa from the original Superman 2.
Oh yeah.
She's the analog version of that. Yeah. So I'll just go through my list of the 80 problems I have with this movie. So number 1, overblown sense of self-importance.
Yep.
We've established
that. 2, implosion of Krypton is about Bush era politics regarding climate change.
Perfect.
Yep, that's what it is. This is a response to Bush era policies of climate change and isolationism, which we are now enduring again.
Much like Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises.
Yep, exactly. 3, they have ships that can leave, but they don't leave. Even though you can see the planet is exploding, but okay.
And they kind of address it. Here's the problem: like they kind of bring it up. They're like, he's like, "Why didn't you come with me, Dad?" "Oh, we just couldn't." You could have given like a good explanation for why, and then you wouldn't have that plot hole. But nope, you couldn't think of one.
Exactly. 4, entire Krypton opening is pointless. They cut the first 20 minutes.
Yep.
You don't need any of that crap.
There you go.
You could just, if you wanted to be different, just jump ahead and don't even see Krypton.
My initial, when I was going to repitch this,
a better writer could write out Krypton.
Yeah. My initial rewrite when I was going to rewrite this was, we should see everything through Superman's point of view, and he should think General Zod's a good guy. As we're cutting back and forth to Krypton, finding out how Krypton died. Yeah. And then the reveal of him taking over the embassy, whatever, is the point where Superman figures out General Zod's a bad guy. And then the audience figures it out with Superman. And now we're like, oh shit, there's another Superman.
Yeah. Or have it be like the first film, you don't even know anything about Krypton.
Yeah.
It's just like you don't first film, you don't know anything about it. And there's this idealized vision of it. And the second film, he realizes, oh man, maybe this wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Kind of like that revelation of, oh shit.
Right.
It just kind of surprises him.
Like The Last Jedi. The Jedi were awful.
Jesus. We'll get to that later. 5, ugly color palette. Why is everything gray? Why does realistic equal dark and miserable?
Because that's how we feel.
What the fuck happened to your life?
Is he colorblind? Genuine question. Is Zack Snyder colorblind?
No, he's
turn
not.
off the noise filter.
Here, you know who is colorblind? Nicholas Winding Refn, who did Drive and Only God Forgives. He's colorblind and he's dyslexic. Yet his movies are gorgeous.
You have to overcompensate when you're colorblind, and I understand that.
Still, but like his movies, like I will watch any of. I was watching Drive last night, and God, it's so goddamn good.
You were watching Drive while Aaron and I were watching fucking Man of Steel.
Yep.
You bitch.
Yeah.
I'm so mad at you right now, dude.
I was watching YouTube and editing photos.
You are owing me so bad. I haven't decided what I'm getting back from this, but yep. It's gonna be big.
Sushi was discussed. I
But
heard
then
that.
you decided
we
not
need
to
to do sushi.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my
All right,
birdie's
so-
sick.
It's okay. I hope he gets better. 7, overuse of cinema verite shaky cam to make it feel grounded, quote unquote.
Yep.
That does not equal grounded.
My eyes don't shake that much.
Yeah. 8, what is happening in the opening action scene? Is it an uprising? Are people trying to escape and Zod is stopping them? Or is it the council stopping them? Like the rest of the film, it's just noise, no clear motivation.
Yep.
9, ripping off The Matrix, Avatar, Fallout, Call of Duty, Dune, etc. There's no original ideas at all in this film. Like the ships that are on Krypton, they're the ornithopters from Dune.
Mm-hmm.
Or the weird creature that Jor-El flies, it's one of the creatures from Avatar.
Yep.
There's nothing original in this whole movie. 10, the Codex is fucking stupid and makes Superman into a self-fulfilling prophecy and more important than he actually is. Plus, wouldn't the earliest DNA chain have tons of deformities? Why keep it? 11, shouldn't there be 2 codexes, male and female?
You would think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 12, Kelex robot was ripped off from Superman Lives, the K character.
Okay.
Yep, it's totally ripped off. 13, why is Zod so pissed that there was a naturally born child? Why is that heresy? It's never established because the movie needs to happen. Mm-hmm. 4, did we lose Aaron? Are you still there?
I'm muted, but I'm still here.
Okay, I was about to say
She's just
got
screaming.
very quiet.
It's a constant scream
It
on
got
the other
very,
side.
very quiet.
I'm chugging caffeine so I can get through this.
Yeah. 14, passage of time between Superman's ship launch and Zod's imprisonment is unclear. Like, how much time passes? Is it like, it seems like
day, week,
it
month?
seems like 5 minutes pass and it's like done
Before they
It's
got
very
wrapped up
weird
into the
how
space
convenient the
dildos.
timing works. Like, especially
Yeah.
considering the distances
With
and
balls
such.
included.
And
Yeah.
if it's that easy for them to match up the timelines like that and get there that quickly, then that just adds credence to the fact that his parents could have come.
Yeah, it feels like an editor was told by a studio, get this down to 2.5 hours. The studio mandated 2.5 hours, get it done.
Is every Zack Snyder movie 3 hours plus? Is that how he like makes
I
his
feel
movies?
I
It
feel like
is.
the director's cuts at least.
Yeah.
For sure.
Except for Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah. 15. 15. Music never fucking stops. No quiet moments. Too loud. Even in moments when it's supposed to be emotionally engaging, it's still like there's a subtle music cue in the background.
As
Well,
much
and
as I
there's-
love the score,
Yeah,
I
like
agree.
there's a video from Every Frame of Painting called the was it like The Sound of Silence?
Mhm.
How silence is a very powerful thing in
Yeah.
film.
Well, and one of the things that I had an issue with is like you have these emotional scenes, like he's talking to Mama Kent, and the
Martha.
bugs in the background are so loud that you can't really hear. Like it's the same volume as the speech. Like
Yeah, when
Wow.
everything feels loud, nothing feels loud.
Right.
Exactly.
It's just noise. 16, during oil rig explosion, the Coast Guard says to leave the men behind. They wouldn't do that.
Right.
Coast Guard would never leave anybody behind. They would sacrifice themselves to do it. But hey, we need Superman to save them. 17, Clark deciding to save the men on the oil rig kneecaps the movie. It's no longer a question of will he become Superman. We know that he will because of trailers, and that's the story.
Yeah.
So that's all pointless. You could have cut that and it would have been a better film. 18, Clark's character arc is solved in 30 minutes. He doesn't grow after 30 minutes. He's done. 19, cutting to past events of Clark as a child is unmotivated. Why does saving a group of guys on the oil rig equate to Clark learning about his powers as a kid? 20, the world's too big, Mom. Terrible writing moment.
Thank you for
I
including
had to
that.
specifically mark that one.
Yes.
21, flashbacks are totally unnecessary. They mess up the pacing. Also, no one asked why a random guy saved an oil rig or why Clark saved a school bus.
the pacing
It's
is
the-
the literal worst.
it
It's so
never
fucking
makes-
slow.
It never makes the news. Nobody ever questions it.
And yet Lois is still able to uncover it, to dig it
Oh,
up, to
yeah.
work backwards to find Superman.
like I said, the movie needed to happen.
It's so much. There's so much convenience plot.
Yeah. 22. John Kent is cool with kids dying to keep Clark's powers a secret.
Yeah, that was really effed up. I didn't like that at all.
Howard
and that
Sr.?
made me not care when he died.
Damn it, Costner.
God. 23. There's more at stake here than you know, says Jonathan Kent. This is proof that the script was written backwards. How does he know Clark is truly special and not a random fluke of nature?
Mm.
He doesn't know what happened on Krypton. He has no clue. He doesn't know what's in Clark. 24.
No, Jonathan Kent went to Canada with the codex and plugged it in. We didn't get to see it.
Oh,
we'll see it in the 3-hour cut.
That's a 3-hour cut. 24.
That's why he was on top of the mountain in Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
It all connects, guys. Come on. There was a plan here.
Of course it does. 24. Jonathan Kent takes a crystal that was in the ship with Clark to a metallurgist who says that, first off, why would you take a crystal to a metallurgist? That makes no sense. And he says that whatever it does doesn't exist on the periodic table. Why did no one confiscate it, and why did no one come knocking?
Yeah. Also, why didn't he take notes and invent it later?
Because the movie needed to happen. 25. Scenes are underlit. Ugly cinematography. It is a hideous looking film.
It's so ugly.
Yeah. 26. Clark has only 2 lines of dialogue for his first 10 minutes on screen. He is a visual personification of Howard Rourke. Emotionally distant, cold, wants nothing but his work, no beliefs, no interest, a flat, wooden, unlikable, unrelatable character.
So unlikable. I hated him. I just wanted him to die. I just wanted him to die, and it really basically made none of the stakes matter.
Just next movie. You just have to suffer through another 2.5 hours.
Exactly. Oh, no, sorry, 3 hours. The ultimate cut.
He dies about 2.5 hours in.
That's true. Yeah.
Please don't tell me we're doing that movie next.
Fuck no. Don't ask me to fix BVS.
From the
Absolutely not.
written by the man who directed Blade Trinity.
And written by the guy who wrote Rise of Skywalker.
If we get a bunch of Twitter recommendations that you do BVS, will you do it though?
Only if you can get 50 people to say yes, I'll do it.
50 people.
50?
That's okay, perfect.
All right.
Oh boy.
27. The bar fight makes no sense. The trucker is 5'6" and 160 pounds soaking wet. Clark is 6'5" and 220 pounds of lean muscle mass. No idiot, no matter how drunk, would pick a fight. Plus, he's a bartender.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
He's a bartender. It's his job to get rid of out of control patrons. It's a bar. People will get rowdy. Clark will go out of his way to rescue oil riggers, but will not stand up for women's rights. Yeah, go fuck yourself.
But he will destroy their truck leader.
Yes. And that's another thing.
True.
28. No one heard him destroy the truck outside the bar.
Yeah.
Well, he pulled it way up in the air.
And that,
But he hadn't learned to fly yet. But he did.
Why did he use his heat vision to melt the tires?
Yeah, like there were so many ways that he could do that.
If you
And
just melt the tires, that would make sense.
Little to cover up his tracks. He just was so reckless with his powers that it's unbelievable that he would have gotten to that age without the government confiscating him.
Exactly, and I'm going to get to that in a second. 29. This is the most convoluted one of all. This is the one I'm just like, what? 29. So the ship that landed on Earth crashed 20,000 years ago.
Yes.
They sent a scout ship to probe for a place to expand the Kryptonian civilization. Human civilization at the time was primitive, yet in the opening, Laura says they are an intelligent life. There is intelligent life and an advanced civilization. Like I said, the script was written backwards. It's because he needed to find a ship and get the suit.
I took that as that like ancient aliens, Atlantis reset.
Aliens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
That's how I took it. Is like maybe they set up culture on Earth and then there was like a flood or Atlantis or fucking whatever, and then it reset and
Aquaman.
It was honestly, you're probably not far off.
Hey.
God.
Wasn't there a rumor that he was the one that saved Clark after the oil rig?
There was a rumor that he caused the oil rig explosion because he was anti-oil rigging.
Gotcha.
Whatever.
But really, that was King of the Oceans, Ocean Master. He was the one that destroyed shit in Aquaman.
There you go.
I never even saw Aquaman because I don't care.
It's fun.
I still need to watch that and Shazam. I have them both now.
There's more chemistry between Aquaman and Amber Heard in 1 minute of that film than between Lois Lane and Superman in this entire film.
You're
it that
not
way.
wrong. 30. Why is the AI of Jor-El aware of his own death? Wasn't that made before he died?
I guess maybe he would have told it.
It's just
Maybe
that
he
good.
assumed
In case
that
of
it
my
was
death?
being used that he was dead.
Yeah.
No, the little crystal was in the ship with Clark, and
Some advanced C++.
then he died after the ship was launched.
Right. So maybe it was like a written in
I mean,
case
they
of
knew
my
the world
death.
was ending. So.
I'm not trying to upset your theses here. I'm just
I know. It just
I
still
think
annoyed
that's a
me.
shaky point overall.
It still annoyed me. All right. 31. How did Clark learn how to fly the alien ship? It just takes off.
I mean,
yeah, that was really weird to me too.
Yeah, 32. How does Clark keep faking his identity? How does he have that ability?
Yeah, because he honestly seems kind of dumb, and he doesn't really seem like
dumb.
he can lie very well.
He's a dumb idiot from Kansas.
Did you guys see The Pretender back in the 90s? That I got very strong Pretender vibes in the beginning of this movie, where he's like, "Oh, he's an oil rigger. I mean, bartender. I mean, works for the government in the ice. Somehow got that job. Yeah. Oh, God. 33. Why isn't Lara's consciousness also in the ship with Jor-El? Apparently she wasn't important enough. This movie has an extreme masculine slant that despises women.
Yeah, it's really weird because they try to pretend like they're not misogynists, but they do it in a way that makes it kind of worse.
Yeah, look at Wonder Woman in BVS and Justice League. She has no personality.
Oh, yeah.
No characterization. But then you get her own movie, and it's like, oh, she's an actual character now.
Right.
While I have problems with that film, it actually has a plot
you
can follow and interesting, likable characters. And then you look at her in Justice League, and she's like just there for fight scenes. When there's even those shots where it's like right on her ass, and it's clearly she's just there for eye candy.
Right. Yeah.
So also we're noting, you know who was supposed to originally be Wonder Woman in George Miller's version of Justice League? Remember the naked woman on top of the tower in Mad Max Fury Road? The bait woman? The woman that when he's like, oh, that's bait. Yeah. That woman, that was supposed to be Wonder Woman.
Interesting.
He was going to do Justice League back in the 90s.
That's right. Yeah, and then it went to Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
It went to Kevin Smith, guys. Kevin Smith was going to do Superman and the Justice League.
Oh man.
The man who did Yoga Hosers. A man whom I love.
And Cop Out.
That script is so bad.
I love Cop Out. Shut your fucking mouth.
Starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh God. Jesus.
You just got
callback. No, that was a good callback. That was good. We're replacing every time Bruce Willis comes up with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Okay.
That's the season 3. you can't say Bruce Willis. You say Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Okay, fair enough. 34. Why would Kryptonian outposts be abandoned if Krypton was running out of natural resources? Wouldn't you want more outposts to add more natural resources? Oh, right. The movie needs to happen. Bush-era politics of isolationism.
Right.
Yeah. 35. There's literally no reason Jor-El and Lara couldn't follow Clark to Earth. Why not hop into a ship and just go? There's literally no reason.
One line to say,
and I've even had problems with this in the books. There's literally no reason they can't go.
If phantom drives are rare, or there's 2 of them,
they never say that.
Yeah, exactly.
They
never say it. That's the only reason it would make sense why they couldn't.
Yeah.
But then also, how did people get to Earth
Whoa,
initially?
Wait. I think they did address that because I think that when Clark asks his father why he didn't come along, he basically said that he was part of the like relics of the failed past and stuff like that. Like basically they needed to start fresh.
His whole thing was like, just let them die. Oh,
but
let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
Oh, fuck.
That's fucking Jor-El.
It doesn't make any sense. Like Jor-El seems to be a relatively even-keeled person.
Well, that's
from what I've analyzed.
Maybe he was very depressed.
I know.
I'm the perfect man. There's nothing more for me to do.
Maybe he was a closet racist. Who knows? I don't know.
There are no black people on
That
on
is
Krypton.
A good point. That is a very good point.
There are very few women.
Yeah, there's like what, 3?
Well, there was one in leadership, guys. So we're not anti-feminist.
And she got killed right away. She's the only one in the council that gets killed.
Gets blown
like
away.
I said, misogynist vibe in this movie.
It's secretly misogynist. It's like,
I love it.
there's a woman in power.
So subversive. It's a great example of
Yeah.
how to make terrible propaganda for terrible people.
Yep, exactly. 36. Henry Cavill has a constant furrowed brow the shape of Mount Rushmore.
But not.
He has no other facial expression.
When he smiles, the 2 times it happens.
I
was like, oh, there's a Superman in there.
Somewhere
Let
in
him
there.
out.
It's in there.
Can't say the same in Justice League thanks to the CG mouth.
Oh, God.
Yes, ma'am.
You know,
Aaron, don't do that.
Aaron, you just have to watch Justice League because it's so bad. And the
first 2 minutes, that's it.
The first 2 minutes. It is so bad.
Cell phone video.
It's so bad. Oh, God. It's a brilliant analysis of how you don't make a movie.
If there is a Snyder cut and they don't deep fake Henry Cavill's face on instead of using that CGI, I swear to fucking God, I will riot.
Facial hair for another film or something like
Mission
that.
Impossible. What, 5?
Okay,
Fallout?
Yeah, right. I remember that.
Fallout,
I can never remember the subtitles for them.
It doesn't
The one
matter
where he
anymore.
cocks his arms in the fight scene.
Oh, yeah.
The coolest part of that movie.
They stopped giving them numbers after 3.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of fight scenes, the ones in this movie were so boring. They could do so many cool things with Superman, and they were just mostly having him fly people into buildings. I'm like, this is boring. I'm over it.
I mean, Superman 4, they fight on the fucking moon.
Right.
Like, they have something interesting. Even though the movie sucks, it's like they fall on the moon.
I'm glad you brought
put it
that
in a
up.
cool setting or something.
The way that he and Feora punch people is exactly the same that the action moves happen in the Batman Arkham series, where it's like you punch and then zip to the next punch.
Yeah.
It looks like visually identical.
And then you get to BVS where you have the warehouse fight scene and it's literally Arkham.
Yeah.
It's literally just Arkham.
Oh, man. I was waiting for the QuickTime cutscene. So, like, press A, tap X, tap X.
Jesus. That is the only good thing about BVS is that you have a really good 20-minute Batman film in there if you just cut out the Batman stuff. That's it. 2.5 hour movie just for some Batman stuff. And it isn't even that close to what Batman is as a character.
Yeah, I'm on record as saying I don't hate Batman killing.
He used to kill. In the original books, he used to kill, and then they retconned.
He had a gun in the first one.
It's fine.
It's just a stupid role for him.
Just Batman killing people, I'm fine with it if they justified the fact that he felt bad about it. But he doesn't feel bad.
Because here, good point. Batman. I mean,
everybody says, "Oh, Iron Man kills people in those movies of that Marvel makes." Well, it's like in those movies, they're fun, they're poppy, they're over the top. It's like I'm gonna say something that's gonna sound really horrible, but in movies like that where it's fun and over the top, killing people is fucking heroic. How would
Indiana Jones,
Die Hard. How would you feel if they didn't kill anybody? Oh, they made that Indiana Jones 4. He kills one person with the blowgun dart, and that's it. Everything else is so fake, and he kills distant. Only from a distance do you see people die.
Right.
That brings up one of the biggest issues that I have with this movie. The biggest issue that I have with this movie is that it was so stupid that the counselor or whatever did not just sentence Zod and his people to death initially. I mean, just putting them in ice for 3
They straight up committed treason. They committed treason.
The world is ending anyway. Everybody's going to die. Just accelerate him a little bit.
They don't believe that. The council doesn't believe that the world's ending.
Yeah. Even though they can clearly see that the world is falling apart.
Well.
And Zod's line of like, you guys are too scared to sully your hands makes him look more badass, but really just lends to the fact that like they don't know what the fuck they're doing with this punishment. They're just like, send them into a black hole, I guess.
And like I said, Bush era politics against climate change. That's what it is.
Send them Guantanamo in space, I guess.
God. Continuing on. 37. The film was built around trailer shots, but everything in between is flat and boring. It is a prime example of tricking an audience with the trailer.
Dude, that first Chris Nolan cut trailer tricked me.
That was such a trick. I even
it looks so good.
There's a comics writer I like, Josh Dysart, and somebody asked him about seeing that trailer, and he was like, I think it's a trick. I think it's a trick. And I was like, no, it can't be a trick. And I saw the movie, and sure enough, it's a trick. None of that is what the movie represents.
Right.
There was actually color in the
trailer. They used the music
from
from the fucking Lord of the Rings. That's the Lord of the Rings theme when Gandalf dies.
Yep.
Like, completely inappropriate music for the rest of the film.
That's a Zack Snyder staple, though.
He reuses stuff from other...
Reuses things from better movies.
Like I said, he copies and pastes.
Yeah.
Copies and pastes.
Because that's supposed to be like filler audio for the editor in the background to be like, oh, use the theme from... do something like the theme from Titus. Don't actually use the theme... No, guys, I said don't use... Okay, well, the theme from Titus is in there now.
And then they got sued.
Yep.
Then they got sued. Yep. 38. Flying sequences have too much shaky cam.
Oh, yeah.
Do not shake the camera when he's flying. Okay, I want to see the action. Okay,
shaky CG cam.
Oh God. 39. Jor-El's speech about Clark giving the people an ideal to strive for and to ascend is pure objectivism. Clark is the embodiment of the perfect man according to Zack Snyder's interpretation of Rand's philosophy. However, Rand's philosophy also forbids the concepts of pity and charity, two things that most define Superman as a person. The philosophy does not work for the character.
Yeah. Also, how did Jor-El know
humans can't be him?
That humans weren't going to be altruistic?
What was that? What, Aaron?
How can Superman be an aspirational goal when humans literally could never be him? I like that's such a weird framework.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like I was saying, Jor-El's never been to Earth. How would he not know that humans were altruistic?
Yeah. Does he know about nuclear weapons?
Yeah.
Does he know about? Yeah.
Because I don't think outsiders would think that about Earth, to be quite frank. We're pretty aggressive.
Yeah, it's like with Transformers, where like Optimus Prime is like, the humans get to choose for themselves. Why do you give a fuck? Why do you care? Like, why?
Because he knew that Earth was actually the not Cybertron. What's the
the other big planet monster. Unicron.
Yeah.
He knew that Earth was actually Unicron. And so Michael Bay knew the whole time what he was going to do. And end of these movies is Unicron. We set that up with the first one, guys. We're rescuing Revenge of the Fallen next month.
Never. No.
The most racist of the group.
Oh, God.
Yeah, man, we don't read. No.
Oh, dear.
Mud
dear.
flaps and skid. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, dear.
40. Why does Jor-El care about...
Are we going to do all 80?
Yes.
We're halfway there.
40.
On a prayer.
Why does Jor-El care about the human race? He just wanted to save his kid in the Kryptonian race. Oh, right, because that's Superman's character motivation, and the movie needs to happen. Again, the script was written backwards. 41. New Superman theme is terrible and not memorable. Changing the theme is a huge no. It's too ingrained in popular culture. Why don't you just piss on the Constitution while you're at it?
Which theme?
The Superman theme. The da 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 da. They cut that out.
I know that one. What's the new theme?
Da 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 da.
Okay.
That. It's terrible. It's just repetitive themes.
Yeah.
There's no harmony. There's no melody. There's no rhythm to it. It's just bland.
Yeah.
It's Hans Zimmer slamming on drums.
Yeah, I thought you meant the like quiet scenes with him learning to fly, or him and Martha, or him and Lois. It's a little piano medley.
Where every time something bad happens to him and he gets a hug and that theme plays.
Yeah. I love that theme. Unapologetically.
That's fine.
Because I think that's Clark's theme, and what you were initially doing is more like Zod's, I feel.
But that theme sounds like, you should take pity upon Clark.
Yeah.
Why? He's such an asshole. Why should I feel pity for him?
I feel it in soft
I feel like it was
moments.
Hans Zimmer going,
So
well, I guess I'm going to
likable.
have to do all the work here.
Yeah.
After he saw the film.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I can't do this for BVS. Junkie XL. Dude, I need you.
Yeah,
You gotta do the heavy lifting.
Junkie, help.
And it's just like Batman's theme is just like, it's just screaming choirs.
And then Joss Whedon was like, guys, why aren't you using the original scores?
Yeah.
The one good thing that man added to Justice League was just use their original scores.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there like, wait, did I just hear what I think I heard?
Although that might have been more the guy that did Batman's score originally.
Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman. Because he scored Justice League. So it might have been him going like,
well, he rescored Justice League.
hey guys, yeah.
After Junkie XL was
Right.
supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. It's great in Mad Max. Works in Mad Max.
Yeah. Oh, God. 42. Obscene product placement. Nikon, IHOP, Budweiser, 7-Eleven, etc. That is fucking obnoxious.
Yeah, that was so over the top.
Fucking obnoxious.
So, okay.
But I did want IHOP after I finished the movie.
You're not wrong.
Wasn't that awesome how he flew through that 7-Eleven
God,
on his way to
pancake.
IHOP so he could stop by Sears?
God,
Wasn't that
those
great?
pancake.
Oh, Sears, how did that work out for you?
God, it's like center frame too. It's so bad.
I brought it up in the group chat last night and then found that there's a little subreddit about it.
Yes, I saw that.
So Lois Lane uses a $900 Nikon DS3,
which is not something a reporter would ever use.
right? And
Especially not in those conditions.
a fucking $2,000 prime lens. And then the subreddit's all about how they show the camera and then 2 seconds later get smashed by the robot. And all the comments are like, oh, man.
Oh, God.
I after I said it and then looked it up to see what the actual camera was, I was like, oh, yeah, there's a bunch of people that saw that too. Okay, cool.
Yep. 43. Clark letting his dad die is stupid and pointless. It's not necessary and devoid of emotion.
Yeah.
That was like a tornado kills him. Like, it's better in the original version when he dies of a heart attack. He's
so sad.
He's that fast, but he can't save him.
Yeah.
And the death was really bad too because it was supposed to. They tried to make
It would have
into this
torn his body
poignant scene.
apart.
Yes, he would have had his skin torn off. He wouldn't be staring at him like, "Yes, son, this is the right thing to do." No, he'd be having his body torn to shreds.
Yeah, like in the original, there's an issue of All-Star Superman where Superman is trying to fight off this dimension hopping creature, but at the very same time, his dad is having a heart attack. So he's like, he thinks he's fast enough to stop both at the same time, and he's like, I can save everyone, and then he gets there not quite fast enough, and he feels bad about it. But the other people that came back through time to help him stop that dimension hopping monster, one of them was him from the future, but had bandages on his face. So the reason he went back there was to see his dad one more time as an adult before his dad died. So the future version got to see his dad just before he passed away, but he couldn't interrupt the timeline, otherwise it would cause a time paradox.
Yeah.
Can't save them all, Hasselhoff.
Yeah. But the last shot is him standing at his kneeling at his father's grave after the funeral has occurred and everybody else has already walked away.
Future Superman.
Future Superman.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is probably one of the best issues of that story. Yeah, it's only 12 issues. It's a really short story too.
Yeah, All-Star is really good.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. 44. Zod has all the technology in the universe, but when he makes a broadcast, it's all garbled. Again, it's a trailer moment, but doesn't work in the context of the film.
I mean, if you had to interface with all the different kind of technology that's on Earth,
we're using fucking Facebook right now.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I have that TV, which is a different format from the TV upstairs, and also like tube TVs. He broadcasts on everything.
God. 45. Jonathan Kent gives Clark a pep talk, even though he loses a fight outside his dad's body shop. Rather than scolding the kids, he just gives his kid a pep talk.
Yeah. Also, incel Clark reading fucking Plato.
Oh, it's just so fucking...
Oh, God, that was so
No
tacky.
kid reads Plato. No kid reads Plato. God. 46. The church scene is fucking dumb, blunt, and overly simplistic. Is the Jesus metaphor obvious enough yet?
Oh my God, I feel bad for
Wait,
Seth
he's
when he edits
Jesus?
this. My audio
I need to
track is just
rewatch
gonna
this
be
movie.
No, he's
dying.
Willem Dafoe.
Yes.
Come on now. It's
Oh,
so
he's
obvious.
Christ.
Or
Boondocks
he's
Saint.
Ewan McGregor, because Ewan McGregor played Jesus at one point.
He did.
He did, yeah. I covered that in our previous episode. 47. There's not really a representation of humanity in the film beyond the military. Apparently, no one else exists in the world.
The military and Lois, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. There's only
And
the
Mom and Dad.
military. Yeah. 48. It's not an S. All my world, it stands for hope. We covered this. It's dumb. That's fucking dumb. 49.
I'm just glad they didn't make it like Sanctity or something like that. That
Yeah.
was lame and yeah.
Yeah. 49. One good moment is when he casually breaks the handcuffs. That's the only thing I was like, okay, that's fun. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you could do that. Like, he makes them feel more secure. But then if they see that, it's going to make them less secure. 'Cause they're like, oh,
Yep.
shit.
Oops.
They can't stop him.
I could leave at any time, guys.
Like, I really could just leave and you guys couldn't stop me. Yeah. 50. Why is Lois Lane suddenly hanging out with the military? Oh, right. Superman needs to save her. Like I said, she's just there for exposition. 51. Zod provides exposition in a dream sequence. How does that even work? Also, it's third act exposition. Don't do that. It's already too complicated. 52. So Zod says he wants the Codex to rebuild Krypton on Earth, but at the beginning he says that stealing the Codex is heresy and that Jor-El shouldn't have done that.
I guess his plan shifted because Krypton's gone?
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, I guess.
53. Why terraform Earth? There's literally 8 other planets they could take. Oh, right, because the movie needs to happen. Yeah. Well, I'll cover that in my pitch. 54. Jor-El says that the Phantom Drive is essential to stopping them. How does he know that unless the script was written backwards? 55. Wanton destruction with no regard for public safety. Totally inappropriate for Superman. 56. It took years for Clark to adapt to the Earth's atmosphere, but Zod adapts within minutes.
I will defend that one.
How?
Literally
Seth,
only...
I think I know where you're heading with this.
Okay, so they explained in the beginning, the reason there hasn't been a natural birth is that everyone on Krypton is genetically programmed for the job they're going to have. So Zod was programmed to be ultimate warrior, which means that they are...
Zod even says that in the finale to him. Like,
where
did you learn? On a farm?
Right. He's very adaptive. Clark is like putty Krypton. Like, he has the potential to be anything.
Okay.
But he's kind of putty. So then Zod takes his helmet off in the first fight and gets taken out of the fight.
Yeah.
Kind of a cop out in the script, I'll admit. But then when he comes back and he's able to adapt, that's his like warrior genetic training catching up to Superman and like almost about to surpass him.
Okay.
I don't think it's good. I'm just saying they do give precedent for
They
it.
try to
Okay.
explain.
Yeah.
They try.
All right. I'll let that one slide.
Out of the 80. Let that
Out of
one
the 80,
slide.
I will let that one
I'm
slide.
defending a movie I'm liking less and less.
I think we liked 2. So we've cut off 2 so far. I don't remember what the other one was though.
Yeah, if we can't remember what the other one is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not important.
It's just one.
Oh, jeez. 57. Action is too fast for the human eye to follow. It's accurate for what it would really be like, but it makes it look like a nightmare.
Right.
It's too fast.
Yeah.
It's too goddamn fast.
And Two Furies.
Yeah. 58. Why do the Kryptonians take no physical damage when fighting each other? No blood or bruises. It makes the fighting seem pointless.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. 59.
It just seems so fake.
We need that PG-13.
It feels fake. It feels fake.
But
Yeah.
even just the patching up scene later, like between him and Lois, and you see the bruises, and you're like, oh, there's stakes for Superman, and they can bond, and like she sees his fucking abs, I guess. If you need a reason to want to kiss somebody, sure, it's Henry Cavill's abs.
Yeah.
I can agree.
You see him in the oil rig sequence. Yeah.
Aaron agrees. I heard this.
Zooms in on them. Like, Jesus.
Oh, that was like pornographic.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like, oh, God.
The male gaze.
Yeah. Wouldn't you guys all like to be Superman someday? Not this one. God. 59. The Kryptonians want Superman, not humanity. Why doesn't he just head to an unpopulated area to save the town? He allows Smallville to get wrecked.
Yeah.
60. The world engine is fucking dumb and doesn't follow the rules of terraforming. Terraforming, you increase the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere to thicken the atmosphere so that that UV rays bounce off the atmosphere to increase CO2 production and make the planet warmer.
Yeah.
You don't fuck with the planet's core. Okay, that's not how it works. You can't increase the gravity of something by just making the core bigger. Plus, if you make the core bigger, you're going to crack all the tectonic plates and the planet's going to crack in half.
Yeah,
they're destroying the planet.
Exactly. And
Mary Sue Jesse explaining terraforming. I'm sorry.
Like the type of quote unquote terraforming they're trying to do, I mean, the Earth would have ended up destroyed within a few seconds of them engaging that machine.
Oh, yeah.
Like it would not have done what it did.
That's instant extinction event. Everybody would have died right away. Yeah. Oh God. Oh, it's okay. I'm getting so frustrated. I need a drink. I need a drink. I need another glass of funny.
I can get you more ice when we go to break.
Yeah. 61. The Phantom Drive will cause a black hole to erupt in the middle of the city. That's just a bad idea all the way around.
Yeah.
How do you close it? How do you close a black hole?
Well, Superman can.
Of course.
Wait, I'm sorry. Real Superman could do that.
Yeah. 62. 9/11 inspiration is totally inappropriate. It's totally wrong. Don't use that, please. 63. By this point in the movie, everything is so loud that it's just noise. Nothing feels loud anymore. Oh, God.
It's dubstep, guys. Come on. Get on.
Oh, it's totally that's why Junkie XL got hired in BVS.
And the longer the film goes on, the more the visual noise seems to be amplified, or at least the more it bothered me, because the longer I watched it, oh God.
This is
so
a
annoying.
Superman movie for people
So
with massive ADD.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is ADD Superman.
I mean, I didn't like it, and I have like really bad ADHD. Maybe if it was good, maybe.
Yeah,
ADD and Red Bull,
or Call of Duty. Twitch gaming, Call of Duty. That's what it is.
It's got the same color palette.
Yo, what's up, Twitch? I'm about to fight General Zod.
Oh my God!
Smash that like button.
God. 64. Perry White and everyone at the Daily Planet do not feel like characters. Therefore, there's no tension when they are under threat.
God, what a waste of good actors, too.
Yeah, oh, God. Lawrence Fishburne, like, he's
So
such
wasted.
a good actor, and he's so worthless in this movie. God. 65. Everyone is pissed about Superman killing Zod, but nobody cares about him committing infanticide. He destroyed the birth pods, and no one cared. That's a little more egregious than killing Zod. 66. When the black hole starts, everything is being sucked into it except Lois Lane. She's falling. Everything else is going into the black hole.
Well, plot armor makes you heavy.
Oh, right. Superman needs to save her.
Very low center of gravity.
Yeah. Superman has to save her.
It's all in the feet.
67. When Jenny says, he saved us, it should be noted this is the first time anyone in Metropolis has ever even seen Clark. For all they know, he caused the destruction. It's the first time.
Oops.
It's like when humans trust Clark, it doesn't make sense for them to trust him,
makes no
and when
sense.
they don't, it does. It's so weird.
When she said he saved us, she meant Zod.
Like I said, the script was written backwards. Like I said, we need to trust Clark. Well, how do we do that? We have to have somebody say, oh, he saved us.
Yeah.
It's literally just written backwards. 68. Bad direction in the destroyed Metropolis. Everything is destroyed and no one is reacting to it. If you saw that kind of destruction, you would be freaking out.
Yeah.
Just like 9/11, everyone was freaking out. If you're going to do that, go all in with it. Have people crying, show the destruction, see people on the streets, trying to escape the rubble. Show that. Don't just show people just kind of standing there and just looking at each other.
You know what movie did this scene?
It's like the prequel Star Wars. Like no one's reacting to what's around them.
You know what movie did this scene almost identically, but way more intentional and immensely more emotional?
What?
2008's War of the Worlds.
Yes.
Tom Cruise running through the ashes.
That is perfect.
That's like
perfect example.
Oh boy.
He's like, oh my God. Okay? Oh my God. I'm covered in human ash. Oh God.
He gets home and he's like trying to get it out of his fucking hair.
That was perfect. Yeah. Yes. Not a great movie. It's okay.
It's got some good scenes.
Yeah. It's a good 2/3 of the beginning, and then the last act sucks.
You tend to forget it's a Spielberg movie.
Yeah. You kind of forget about that.
It feels like one he produced.
Yeah.
Not directed.
Yeah. Well,
that's Spielberg on autopilot, which is still better than Zack Snyder on throwing everything at Superman.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. At least I'm not like battered and beaten by the end of War of the Worlds.
True.
Yeah. 69. Superman allows more damage after the world engine is destroyed.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He wrecks every fucking building and every molecule in this city. Everything. And then, of course, the LexCorp
fly
cameo.
Up into space and fight? Like.
Right. Yeah.
For more than 30 seconds.
And then, of course, there's the Easter egg of LexCorp's truck, which just blows up that building. He turns around and looks at it like, oh, shit, did I do that?
Oh, and
he could have just stopped it.
He went full Urkel.
Grab it. Stop it.
The best joke of this movie is in the background when Zod punches Superman into the Days Without Injury sign 106.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then it drops zero.
Yeah.
That was like,
oh, man.
And why does that stop him? Like literally that you've flown through every other building, but that's the one thing that stopped you?
Right. Hey, those signs, they got to be all about safety.
Oh man, they're made of some kind of special titanium. Something. Oh, geez. 70. There's only one way this ends, Cal. Either you die or I do. It's just, why is the writing so bad?
There's only one way this ends, in death.
Yes, thank you.
That covers all bases.
That's literally all you had to do.
There's only one way this ends.
Somebody
one of two
had
ways.
to approve that line.
60% of the time, it works 100% of the time.
That doesn't make
sense. Jesus. 71. Metropolis is apparently an endless city with no limits, no sense of geography or landmarks. That flying scene where Zod and Superman are zipping around, it's like the Matrix. The city goes on forever.
Yeah.
There's no limits to the city ever. Even Manhattan has an endpoint.
You can see the water.
You can see the water from the
sky.
skyscrapers. Like, 72. Superman killing Zod. I wanted him to
Which
kill
version
Superman.
did you watch?
Superman killing Zod is fine, but him feeling bad about it makes no sense. It's never established that he thinks killing is bad. There needed to be a scene of him learning that death is horrible, and it's never set up. It's a payoff honestly, without a setup.
A lot of times in films, characters that cannot die have a hard time comprehending the fear of mortality that other people have.
Yeah.
And, like, there should have been a scene that addresses that.
Or just him understanding, like, the sanctity of life.
Yeah.
Just like every life has value to it.
It doesn't feel like he does. When you're just slamming people through skyscraper after skyscraper, it doesn't feel like you value life that much.
Yeah.
Honestly,
this is like the progression of what it feels like to become a serial killer.
How much more powerful would the end of BVS had been if Doomsday was in Superman's position and Superman was in Zod's position, and like the flashback of like, oh shit. Fucking karma's coming for me.
But then he's like, in that film, Doomsday is literally Zod without Zod's personality.
Yeah.
It's like, what? God. That's just a whole other can of worms. 73. Superman outright destroys expensive military property.
Yep.
Just crashes that drone. Like, oh yeah, I'm just going to crash this. Just fuck it. Whatever.
The cost to the taxpayer of spying on Superman.
Oh, God. 74. I'm here to help, but it has to be on my own terms. That is Howard Rourke reaching his full potential. No one shall impede my genius. Step out of the way and let me work.
Yep.
That's what it is. That's literally Howard Rourke ascending to, I am the most intelligent person in the room. They respect my genius. 75. The military should be paranoid about him. He should be under 24-hour surveillance.
Yeah.
I'd be paranoid if somebody like that was running around with that kind of power. Of course he should be paranoid because he clearly caused a lot of destruction, or at least was the impetus for that destruction. Yeah. He could have just left the planet and then they would have followed him.
Well, and that's why in the next movie that's based on the Dark Knight, Dark Knight Returns.
Dark Knight Returns and Death of Superman. They smashed the two together.
Right. But like in Dark Knight Returns, Superman works for the military.
He works for the government
because of that. Because if we can't spy on him, let's just employ him.
Yeah,
that's the idea.
Can't beat him, join him.
Right,
yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah, and also worth noting, Dark Knight Returns is never meant to be taken completely seriously.
No, it's totally satire.
Yeah, it's meant to be satire. Like the suit that Batman wears. Even if you were wearing that, you would still get the fucking shit kicked out of you. One punch, you're dead. Yeah, it's not meant to be realistic.
Right.
But they took it realistically, and it's just like, oh god, that fucking freak show of a fight at the end of that movie. It's Batman v Superman. Yeah, in the trailer they show them teaming up.
Why did you say that name?
Why did I do so much CrossFit?
Oh god.
Martha!
That CrossFit sequence.
Oh my god.
That is
if that's not Zack Snyder inserting himself into his own film.
There is a photo of Zack Snyder deadlifting like 500 pounds.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Something like that, somewhere around. But yeah, he's totally just like all about the male gaze.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why his films have a misogynistic slant to them. Like, look at Sucker Punch. Totally misogynistic. Totally misogynistic. The women in those films have no personality, no character, and they don't escape. Yeah, they are just meant to be under the man's thumb the entire time.
Right. John Hamm's thumb.
Yeah.
To be specific.
Exactly. Or Oscar Isaac.
True.
Yeah.
I forgot he was in that movie.
Yep. Poe Dameron is in that movie.
I haven't seen Sucker Punch in a long time.
It's really bad. It's really bad. 76. Kid Clark running around with the cape makes no sense. Is it established in this universe that other superheroes exist, even so far as being fictional? Like I said, written backwards.
Yeah.
They wanted that scene, but didn't know how to get to it.
A little Shazam nod would have been fun.
Yeah. Just, if you're going to say this is the beginning of a universe, have some other elements of the universe.
Right.
Yeah. 77. A happy ending for such an outright destruction. There was never really a point of heroism at any time in the movie. The heroic theme at the end credits isn't earned, and the music isn't even that good.
Yeah.
78. Henry Cavill as a person is way too big. He is unapproachable and unrelatable. He comes off as a brute.
Yeah.
Like, his size, he's too big. He's too big. Like, you're Superman. You're invulnerable. Why do you need to be big? Why do you need to be big? I've always thought that if you're going to have Superman, make him look like an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
He's
tall.
lean, but he's muscular.
Yeah.
Not like a fucking hulking brute. Like it's hard. If you saw this guy walking down the street, would you want to approach him?
I mean,
okay, if you did,
what's the context here?
Beard stubbled Henry Cavill, homeless.
No, pure beard. I'm signing
exactly.
off.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
That beard was so bad. Aaron, please back me up here.
Did we lose Aaron? You still there?
Sorry, I muted myself. It was absolutely awful. Caffeine to get through this, and I don't want to hear like you just slurping.
Yeah, no. Henry Cavill, yeah, I'd approach him. Also, does his shoulders being that big make his hands look small? Because they looked a little small.
It was very weird. His proportions are kind of interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. Is
and then in BVS, he's even bigger. It's like Jesus.
He's been drawn by Rob Liefeld.
God, yeah, oh yeah. See, there's even that shot of him standing sideways, and he has a huge chest. He looks like the Rob Liefeld version of Captain America. He looks like that. It's
toss
so
a growth
wrong.
hormone to your Witcher.
So wrong.
There's male characters in these superhero films are just getting so unreasonable. It's men are under these really ridiculous standards of beauty nowadays too. Like these men have to just starve themselves for the entire duration of filming. Basically,
Henry Cavill discussed that for The Witcher. He said when he did that shirtless scene where he got out of the tub, and you can see his abs and his veins and stuff like that. He said he hadn't had any water for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And because that means your body becomes dehydrated and your skin gets tight.
Yeah.
But it's not healthy. It's really unhealthy.
Same thing happened with Chris Hemsworth on the first Thor and his top. Literally the next day he was in the hospital and they were like, you were a day away from organ failure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like that's just so unhealthy.
That's what bodybuilders
and it's not
do.
necessary.
Yeah. Bodybuilders do that because it looks good on stage, but for an actual person, that's not sustainable. No human being should ever look like that.
No.
Never.
Especially when they're normal is not that far off from that.
Yeah, look at I think it was Rocky 3, Sylvester Stallone said he got down to like 6% body fat. He had a fucking heart attack.
Yeah.
He was on the verge of he was eating nothing but fish and broccoli, and he ended up in the hospital with mercury poisoning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like a human being is not meant to look like that.
No.
And you want to make this guy relatable and realistic? Don't make him look like a bodybuilder. Simple as that.
Right.
He can be lean, but not a bodybuilder. He's too big.
He was distractingly big, and not in like the good distractingly way. It was I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what's the name of the?
He looked fake. Like even though his muscles are mostly,
it looks
real,
like a muscle suit.
It looks
like
but it's him
because his head and he has a weirdly tiny neck for his head.
Oh, don't worry, it gets bigger in BVS.
True. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, but
that's good.
That brings up another point. 79. The suit is ugly and noisy. It's horrible, and also everyone says, "Oh, the underwear on the outside of the suit." It's there to offset the color palette.
Right.
It looks incomplete without the underwear.
You could do trunks. It doesn't have to be briefs.
Yeah.
I think my issue is the same issue with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. It's too busy. Like there's too much happening.
Too noisy.
Yeah. Like even the eyes on Sam Raimi's Spider-Man had to have like scales in it, and like it's silver and black lined, and it's like, oh, there's so much happening.
Yeah, like you don't need to show off how good your CGI is. Like that's not the point of a costume or something like that. A costume needs to make show what the character is, what they represent. It needs to be visually appealing, so you don't hate looking at the thing for however fucking long this movie was. Long.
And then we get to Justice League where they upped the brightness and you see all the patching on the suit. It's meant to be there for a dark color palette, but in bright light it doesn't look right.
Oh no.
It looks horrible.
My favorite Superman costume is his New 52 white t-shirt, blue jeans, red cape. Like
when he's young.
Yeah.
Oh, Action Comics,
beautiful. It's so simple. It's so like, oh yeah, you're just a dude trying to do Superman shit. Okay, cool. I'm on board.
Yeah, and not until like towards the tail end of that story, then he got the suit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the ascension to him being Superman.
Right.
Well, that story does have problems. Overall, I like it.
Yeah.
It's one of the few good things that came out of New 52, and then they scrapped it.
For Dr. Manhattan to have been playing his hand in DC's timeline, or I'm not following Doomsday Clock, but
for Aaron,
it's dumb.
Just so you know, they did incorporate Watchmen into the DC universe
in a bad way.
In a bad way, and it's terrible.
Ooh.
It's bad. 80.
It's ugly.
Ayn Rand on the concept of pity and charity. This is pity, he thought, and then he lifted his head in wonder. He thought that there must be something terribly wrong with a world in which this monstrous feeling is called virtue. That's a quote from the Fountainhead.
Oh my God.
That's a quote from the Fountainhead. Here's a quote from Atlas Shrugged. When one acts on pity against justice, it is the good whom one punishes for the sake of the evil. When one saves the guilty from suffering, it is the innocent whom one forces to suffer. There is no escape from justice. Nothing can be unearned and unpaid for in the universe, neither in matter nor in spirit. And if the guilty do not pay, then the innocent have to pay it.
Hey, Jesse.
Basically, just says either you kill them or you don't. And if you don't kill them, typically it's a problem later on down the line.
Jesse, this is the Film Rescue Show, not the GOP convention.
A friend of mine actually worked the CPAC convention about a year ago, and he actually saw people in the audience doing the Heil Hitler.
Wow. I mean, not shocked, but wow.
Mm-hmm. Like, is anybody shocked by that? And then the next part of it is, covering how Zack Snyder got the message about Rorschach completely wrong in Watchmen.
Yeah.
How he got told.
We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll get to a pitch.
We still haven't even hit the pitch yet.
Listen.
I told you, 4-hour episode. This is long.
Hey, Devin here, and I know I'm not on this podcast, but Seth wanted me to jump on and do a little thing for this second break in the podcast, which is something new we're trying out this year. And boy, is this a good podcast to start with, because there is so much happening here, and way more being said about this topic than probably needs to. But that's the great thing about people who are passionate. And I don't really have anything to fill the segment with, if I'm being honest. So I want to do two things. First of all, if you're listening to our podcast and you listen this far into them, thank you. We say it a lot, but I don't think we say it enough. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for coming along on this ride with us, because to be honest, we started this thing, two guys in a basement, and for all we knew, we were going to be there forever. But we're still guys in a basement, but now there's just more of us. So I appreciate all of you who have come into that basement with us. That being said, since this is such a heavy podcast, and I know no part of this podcast is light for you guys, Michael, I'm going to give them a break on this break, an actual break and not a ranting break. So here is the deal. Take a minute, breathe, disconnect your brain. Don't think about Superman. Don't think about the podcast. Just relax, float off. Not if you're driving. Definitely pay attention to the road if you're driving or working or doing anything else productive. Probably pay attention. But if you really need to, this is definitely a good time to pause and, go do something you need to. Come back because this is a long podcast. It's a lot to take in all at once. So hopefully with these 2 breaks, you guys will have places to give yourselves little breaks and maybe break the podcast up a little bit if you need to because... let's face it, not many of us have time to listen to a 2-hour podcast straight. Well, that's been just over 2 minutes, so I'm going to let you guys get back to it. Once again, thank you for being here. And in the future, we will have actual content for this break and not just me rambling because I don't know what else to do. So, thank you and enjoy.
Welcome back. Jesse just laid out his 80 theses against Man of Steel. Not an exaggeration. There was 80 of them.
I'm sure if I thought about it more, I could get to 99, but I can't be bothered.
I said that's not a challenge.
Yeah, 95, I think, was the actual number.
99,
and I think I gave you at least 5 more last night in the group chat.
Feora was wasted. That's a good one.
Feora is wasted. The big brutish guy has no personality.
Zack Snyder, the color yellow and medium shots exist.
Yes.
I promise.
They do exist.
More naked Henry Cavill.
Also, Mike has jumped in.
Chaos has descended on the Film Rescue Show.
As if 4 people talking about Superman wasn't enough. We've got the Fox and the Hound version of that gif is my favorite of all time.
Oh, God.
Jesse, you have a pitch for a Superman movie.
Yes, and it's not a page 1 rewrite.
Okay.
I somehow got some of the stuff that's in this actual movie to stay around.
Interesting.
So this is long though.
So what?
Just be
Henry
aware.
Cavill, that's
we're
who
here
stay
for
around.
Yes, the only recasting is Lois Lane. Amy Adams is horribly miscast.
Great actress.
Great actress.
Yeah.
Bad for this role.
Yeah.
I recast Anna Kendrick as Lois Lane.
I love her.
Anna
Me
Kendrick
too.
as Lois Lane. Better option.
Hard to hate her.
Hard to hate her because she's good in everything.
Also, retroactively, if there's a Jimmy Olsen character, her being
Well,
her,
there was. He got his head blown off
Yeah.
in BVS.
He gets killed at the beginning of BVS.
The guy that gets shot at the opening of BVS, that's Jimmy Olsen.
I just want her to be my best friend.
No.
You didn't know that?
That's the
That's-
extended cut.
That's human version of Strong Bad. What are you talking about?
I'm strong bud. Nah.
Oh man,
That's Jimmy Olsen?
That's
You're
Jimmy
Fucking
Olsen.
terrible, dude.
Like I said,
They
Zack
barely
Snyder
make it obvious.
despises these fucking characters. He hates them.
Chad Jimmy Olsen versus incel Superman.
He fucking
I guess.
hates these characters.
All right, well,
Superman totally didn't kill that guy when he pushed him through that brick wall. Really?
No, he lived.
Really?
I've gone through
Really?
brick walls all the time.
Oh, God.
Maybe don't be such a millennial.
You think Superman with how fast he is, faster than a speeding bullet, he would have jumped down and caught the bullet?
you think with how fast...
You think with how fast he was, but no, he only comes in after he gets, after he's dead and has to save Lois Lane because he gets to have sex with her that night.
My favorite is the high-speed tackle shit that he likes to do, and if we've
Oh,
learned
yeah.
anything from the boys, that's not how that works.
That's not how it works.
yeah.
It's not how gravity works. It's not how physics
How
works.
velocity
Aside-
works. None of that.
Aside from the standard phrase of "for some reason," that seems to apply to both of these films. I feel like
For some reason, BVS exists.
exactly. For some reason, you have the other one. You would think.
Yeah.
Like you would think this would happen because of that. You would think that would happen because of this.
If you have to use the phrase "you would think," then it probably means that that's what you should think.
Was there any slow-mo in Man of Steel? Like anything to show off how fast he is?
No.
Because there is in Justice League.
No, there is no
And that's
slow-mo.
probably one of the best scenes.
Nope.
When the
There
Flash
is-
is running around him, and then he
Gives
just
him
like...
the side eye.
That
Cameron
was
kind
like...
of
That was
slow
one of the
down
best
his
moments where he's like,
abs.
"Oh my god, he's just as fast as me." Oh shit!
Chills.
Well, he's not. That's what the
No.
fight showed. Is that? He
Well, that's
can
what the
somewhat
mid-credits scene
keep
is supposed
up.
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They don't answer
They
that
race.
question with that fight. They just recently fucking answered how fast they are, and it's not even close.
Well, the Flash is trans time.
The
so, like,
Flash can fucking travel through time and dimension and space. Like he's faster.
yeah.
also Superman never wants to fight Flash because he can't beat him.
Yeah. I don't know.
Without further ado,
Anyways.
Nerd
I would
talk.
like a
Just enough to
Superman
do.
pitch.
But
at some point in the
if
Superman
Flash ever
Pitch
punched
podcast.
Superman, wouldn't he just break his hand?
It depends on if he was vibrating or not.
Oh, whatever.
Because he can go through molecular objects.
Oh, I know.
That brings a whole new definition to the term fisting.
Thank you, Aaron. This is why we.
Somebody had to chime in with it.
After dark.
Oh,
We're talking about fisting today.
Couldn't his hand just be a vibrator then?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you can do that too.
I honestly wonder how, like, the Flash and Superman don't break the human women that they're with. I mean,
isn't that like in the comics?
There was a spin-off book that Garth Ennis wrote called The Pro.
Yeah.
And the Superman character in that has never had a blowjob. So the Pro, who is a prostitute, that basically just Power Girl as a prostitute. And so she's blowing the Superman type character, and he's like about to come, and he's like, get the fuck out of the way! And he ejaculates, and it shoots his semen up into the sky and blows the wing off an airplane. It's actually fucking hilarious. Why?
Does it too.
Yes. Why he doesn't kill the women he has sex with, I have no idea.
Because
That's
he doesn't have sex.
even more extreme than my mental image of him hip thrusting and Kryptonians coming out of his dick. Wow, that's just like, that's intense.
I feel like that was in the comics or the TV shows or something.
Superman 2, he basically gives up his power so he can fuck.
So he can, yes, he gives his power so he can have sex with all
Wow, this really is an incel power fantasy. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
For real. No, I'm thinking of he has to impregnate Wonder Woman because she's the only one that's like physically capable of bearing his child.
Dark Knight Strikes Again is that they have sex in the clouds.
That's right.
52, he has sex with her, yeah.
Yeah.
And that book is terrible.
Welcome back to the break.
Yeah.
Again, so about fixing that movie there.
Is this Superman XXX?
Is this an Axel Braun parody?
Brought to you by Brazos.
There was a Catwoman one that's pretty bad too.
The what?
What?
I'd like to see Ron Jeremy in this Superman getup.
Oh god!
Just like the gut just blowing the suit apart.
Does he still do films anymore?
Yes,
probably.
Yes. Viagra exists.
Stoya
that
is
man
Lois
works.
Lane. Hear me out here. Stoya is Lois Lane.
Who?
Who the fuck is
Stoya. Oh yeah. Well, she's retired.
Who's Stoya?
Is
She's
that a porn star?
She used to be.
She's really
she's
cute.
retired. Because her boyfriend James Dean abused her.
Yeah.
She's now like she's an art model.
Can we put Frankie Cullen in this? He's my favorite.
How do you spell Stoya?
Stoya.
Oya.
She's just so cute. I
We're
love
just
her.
wrecking so many web browsers
Hold on.
right now for
I,
this.
Yeah.
I don't need to Google it. I have a picture of Frankie Cullen on my phone.
Oh, she's been in like films as well.
Well, so is Sasha Grey.
She's really well rounded. I think she
was
could
in
do a good job.
Entourage as well.
That's my
AI
official
Rising
casting
just looks
selection.
like Ex Machina with worse
There
Photoshop.
I wasn't joking when I said I had a picture of him on my
He
phone.
looks exactly. He looks like Henry Cavill.
You know what the sad thing is about
Yikes.
Frankie Cullen? If you watch him act, because he always does the
With quotes.
softcore, the guy actually has some acting jobs.
You have to figure
then.
so many people in that industry, at least some of them
They
are good
tried to
actors.
become actors and didn't quite make it, and
He's
they ended up in
definitely
porn.
that one of
It's
those
like, well,
guys.
I have these other
Yeah.
skills.
That, like, I'm like, this guy actually has some acting chops
Do
for
you mean
this.
genetic predisposition?
This is kind of sad that but you're attractive, so whatever.
Here's the thing, though: porn makes more money these days than
Hell yeah,
anybody
it
would
does.
ever possibly
I'm
think.
gonna start making porn.
Devin is going to demonetize this episode. If we don't get into the fucking pitch
Wait
at
a
some
minute,
point.
we make money on these.
We got the wrong audience for this episode.
Patreon clip.
Oh Jesus!
Welcome back.
Welcome.
No, I'll leave all that in. That
Oh,
that was
Jesus.
fun and only.
Should I just do the
PG-13.
pitch now before
Yes,
we horribly
please,
embarrass
please.
ourselves even
Should I-
more?
hold on a
Please hear
second.
Superman pitch.
Wait, since Devin's not here. Hey, baby, what's up?
He does listen back to these. I've found out.
Yeah. God.
We'll see.
Oh God. Okay. So the pitch, it's not a page one rewrite. I actually was able to keep a lot of stuff. The only things I really jettisoned were the codex, because that's fucking stupid, and I put a sense of heart, and I got rid of the objectivist horse crap. Most of that is gone.
So it's a regular
So
Superman.
It's a
There's no
regular
movie
Superman
left?
movie. Except in the continuity of this story, he only gets to be about 20 or so years old. In the movie, he's like, what, in his 30s?
33.
Yeah, he's 33, with obviously the same age
Age
as
as Christ.
Jesus when he
Yeah.
died. Wow.
Get
Like,
it?
you guys get it?
Rule of
He's
three is
Jesus.
Because
Blah, blah,
Rambo's too
blah.
old to be Jesus anymore.
Oh, God. Oh, God. He's like, it starts out with him young as a kid, and then he becomes 20 or so years old after high. It's basically like the first Spider-Man, how he graduates from high school and then he moves on to college.
Yeah.
That's basically what this is.
Okay.
This takes a lot from the first two Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
I really want to name drop American Alien, except for that was written by a fucking terrible person. So,
Orson Scott Card?
No.
Harvey Weinstein.
Oh no, it was Max Landis.
Max Landis.
Oh fuck that douchebag.
Yeah.
That's like his murdering father.
Great idea for a comic.
Max Landis is what happens when you have the ultimate helicopter dad.
I heard that joke on this podcast.
You know what's sad? He did a show with Elijah Wood, something holistic medicine.
It was pretty good.
It was sadly pretty good. And then I'm like, man, this guy's a rapist. I shouldn't like this at all.
Have you read that article? It just goes on forever.
Oh, man.
It never fucking stops.
It's bad.
Wow. Never
it's
fucking
not
stops.
Fucking surprising because that guy's weird.
Yeah.
So how are we fixing this movie again?
Okay.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right. So first thing, title change. Not called Man of Steel. Superman, Son of Krypton.
Okay.
I like it.
Man of Steel just sounds so bland.
They're trying too hard to do another Dark Knight.
Yeah, it's a Superman movie that's ashamed of the fact that it's Superman.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
The cinematography
like what like they say Superman is out there and they say Superman? Like, yeah, that's what we're calling him. And it's just like it's so ashamed of its own origin.
Yeah.
It clearly does not want to be a Superman movie
The title
because Zack
describes
Snyder
the
hates
facial
Superman.
expressions of the hero, basically.
True.
And yes, he does smile in this story that I read.
Twice.
How?
Yes, he smiles several times. Thankfully,
Wow.
he's not miserable. He's not unhappy. Yeah, it actually takes a little bit from the Earth 1 storyline,
Okay.
which is not great, but it's got good ideas in it.
Sure.
So, all right. So we open on a child's face. It is Kal-El. Lights are flashing everywhere, but the scene is mostly bathed in red from the sun. We pull back and see Lara and Jor-El watching their child. They talk about how they are going to escape. Jor-El says they need to move quickly. He has a plan. They take Kal and head to the docking bays for off-world ships. We see the red sun beginning to implode. Jor-El has hijacked one of the birthing pod ships, which is filled with the unfertilized eggs of Kryptonian children.
Okay.
He also has his robotic assistant, a floating orb called K, with them. I took that from the Superman Lives storyline. I like that idea.
Fair.
That there's a guardian of Superman. I liked that as a child. So they prepare to leave, load Kal into one of the pods, but are stopped by the supreme leader of Krypton, General Zod, and his minions. Zod was going to use Jor-El's new piece of technology, a matter reintegration beam, to reignite the sun and save Krypton. Space magic. Okay, just fuck it, whatever. Space magic, just go with it.
He can just fly.
Like I said, like Grant Morrison says, how does Superman fly? He just does. It's just the character.
Willpower.
Who gives a shit? There's a book that's called The Physics of Superheroes. I've read it and I laughed my ass off. Like, the grappling hook is made of a special Teflon that can elevate Batman across rooftops. Exactly! Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. No one cares. Oh, God.
I find it actually harder to suspend disbelief when they have given us a shitty explanation. Like, just make it the way it is. Don't explain it.
It's why the Christopher Nolan Batman movies have not aged very well.
Yeah.
They've really not aged well. Really, the Batmobile can run across those rooftops of that church. Wow.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know what that church roof is made of, but it's pretty strong. All right. Anyways, Jor-El states that it won't work. He was wrong. The only thing they can do is run. Zod tells him to stand down. Jor-El refuses. They fight briefly, but Jor-El is overpowered. Laura tells Kay to initiate the launch, and they watch the ship head off into space. Zod tries to shoot it down, but is stopped by Jor-El. The ship heads up, and away. Yes, Superman reference. Go with it.
Thank you.
Vanishing into a wormhole. Everyone turns to look at the sun. It's too late. There is no time to stop it. Zod orders his crew to board whatever ships they can. Jor-El and Lara try to board, but are forced off by Zod. See, they were going to leave. I wrote in they were gonna leave, but they get left behind. They're the only people left on Krypton when the whole planet explodes. Zod says nothing, closes the hatch, leaving Jor-El and Lara all alone on the landing platform. The two watch as the sun shrinks to a speck, then explodes, evaporating all of Krypton. Zod and his ships escape into another wormhole just in time to avoid the blast. So right there, you keep the Krypton stuff, but it's not like political Bush-era politics bullshit.
Do you want to tease Brainiac at all?
There is no Brainiac in this story.
Only Zol.
I mean, you could probably say maybe Brainiac, the AI of Brainiac, is somewhere on one of these ships somewhere. You could have that in a sequel.
K could be reconfigured into Brainiac at some point, too.
Either K is the Brainiac symbol, because Brainiac has a lot to do with why Krypton is destroyed. Like, that's one of the reasons why Brainiac is Brainiac, and also, I always think past one fucking superhero movie, and
this is a singular film. There are references to later films, but it's not too extensive.
I would still tease at least some small, slight Brainiac tease.
Maybe he has a symbol of K.
Yeah, that's
possibly.
all I was thinking.
Okay, but
something real simple and stupid.
okay. Fair enough. All right. Anyways, next up, we cut to Cal's ship. Kay watches over Kay as the weeks pass. Nobody knows how long it takes to travel through a wormhole. We'll say weeks pass.
Sure.
Kay, eventually they come out of a wormhole near Jupiter, and Kay searches for a habitable planet. Kay finds Earth. They begin their descent. The ship begins to buckle, spins out of control, and crash lands in Kansas. Hard cut to Clark Kent, 10 years old, waking up early in the morning. His dad, John Kent, wakes him up. He walks in wearing hunting gear. They're going out to hunt for varmints in the field to stop them from tearing up the farms. Yeah, exploding varmints.
Oh god,
that Red Letter Media episode, exploding
like
varmints.
2 hours just blowing.
Oh god, that's the
Kevin
best.
Costner,
Jesus.
Pew 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 pew.
Kevin Costner.
You could say Kevin Costner.
I think he was.
I think he's fine. It's just the script was bad.
Yeah.
The only actor I said
Misused.
recast was just Amy Adams. Just get her out of there. She's terrible. The following scene is meant to set up the fact that Clark does not like to kill. John aims a rifle at a wild animal and tells Clark to take over and fire. Clark watches John kill an animal. It visibly upsets him. John tells Clark to shoot the next one. Clark refuses. They argue for a bit. Clark starts crying. John relents and lets Clark go home. John will finish up. As Clark walks away, he hears John fire again and again, clearing the field of rodents. Hard cut to teenagers playing football. 8 years have passed. We see the Smallville football team playing practice. Clark Kent, a.k.a. Kal-El, walks past the field taking photographs of birds. He's into photography. They all chuck footballs at him until he gets off the field. He runs off, ducks around a corner, and cries. Lana Lang, who was part of the cheerleading squad, sits next to him and they talk.
Ooh.
Clark is the biggest nerd in the world, but she's one of the prettiest girls in the school. She asks him to take her to the school dance next week. He says sure. He perks up and heads home. At home, we meet John and Martha Kent again. We have scenes of them being a family. Clark says he got asked to the dance, and then John Kent gives him his old suit from when he was in high school. It's outdated, but they're so poor that Clark tries it on and it fits perfectly. So they're old and they're poor. It's just the way it is. Clark calls Lana, but all his calls go to voicemail. Eventually he says, I'll meet you at the dance. Clark goes, walks around, doesn't see Lana, so he sits alone in the corner. Eventually he sees Lana walk in with Kyle, the most popular guy in the school. Clark is confused, says hi. Lana realizes he forgot to call him back to say he had to cancel. Clark bullies him, so Clark runs off into the bathroom and cries.
Kyle bullies Clark.
Yes, and that's in the books. There's a character named Kyle that is the head of the football team that does bully him. So that is from the comics. Clark leans on the sink, gasping for air, upset and angry. He looks in the mirror, and his eyes start to glow red. Then his hands crush the sink. Shocked, his eyes glow brighter, then emit a laser blast that breaks the mirror. He runs out of the building, running past Lana and Kyle. Lana feels bad, but Kyle laughs anyways. Clark runs anywhere, nowhere. Eventually he gets faster and faster until he's moving at the same speed as cars. To him, time has slowed down as he moves quickly. This scene is reminiscent of the scene in Spider-Man when Peter Parker discovers his powers.
Like
Clark hears every pebble crushing under his feet. He feels every gust of wind from every direction. He begins to see in X-rays. Terrified, he runs faster until he reaches a busy intersection in a major city. Buildings everywhere. He sees a homeless guy on the street and says, "Excuse me, where is this?" He says, "Earth, welcome," says the homeless guy, clearly drunk or high. Clark looks around and sees
a racer now. When Arnold landed the junkyard.
Yeah, that's exactly the fucking same thing I was thinking of. I was thinking of the same fucking thing.
Where is this? Earth.
Welcome. Clark looks around and sees in the distance the St. Louis Gateway Arch. He ran all the way through to St. Louis.
Oh,
Not knowing what else to do, he calls his mom. She answers. He says, "Mom, can you come pick me up?" "Oh, I thought you were into the dance. Are you still there?" Not exactly. So see right there, it's like everyone's like, you're laughing and you're enjoying it. Like
I love
this
Goofy
is what a Superman movie should fucking have.
I love Goofy Clark.
Exactly. And this is and everyone, I passed this off to somebody else and they said, this is all like the Richard Donner Superman movie. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Because they kind of nailed it on the first try.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of leeway with a character like this. So you kind of have to reinvent the same stuff.
Yeah.
So anyways, both John and Martha Kent travel overnight to pick up Clark. On the way home, Clark asks what's happening to him. The Kents look at each other. John says, "It's time that we showed you something."
Puberty hit you like a brick.
Yep. You're going to be in for a big surprise. When they get home, they take Clark into the basement of the barn and show him the ship that crash landed in the field. It's huge. Sorry, I burped. They explain that he is not biologically their son. He came from space, but that's all they know. Clark steps into the ship. and sees a metal sphere hooked into the wall. He touches it, and it comes alive, reading his DNA code. Everyone freaks out. Clark accidentally fires a laser at it, but it gets deflected back into the ground. The sphere morphs into a human face. It explains that he is K, guardian of Kal-El, last known living member of the House of El. Clark realizes that that's who he is. This is the information dump scene to explain everything. Clark's powers are now coming out due to puberty. He is becoming a man. Clark asks where his real parents are. K says, I do not know. At this point, K takes on the task of training Clark to hone his skills and control his emotions.
Can Alan Tudyk voice K, please?
I was thinking the same fucking thing.
Thank you.
I was literally thinking the same fucking thing. Same goddamn thing.
I do not know.
Put him in everything. It's fine.
Did you not know that was me? Only good part of Rogue One. Oh, God. Montage sequence. Literally, I wrote that in. Montage sequence. Clark focusing his lasers, using his ice breath, lifting extremely heavy weight like tractor axles, and, of course, trying to fly. He only has the ability to jump really high at the moment. After the montage, Clark sits with Kay and watches the stars at night. He asks which one was Krypton. Kay turns part of himself into a telescope and focuses in on a red dot high in the sky. He explains that due to the time that it takes for light to reach Earth, they are actually looking at an after image. Krypton is long since gone.
That's sad. I like that.
That is really
it's actually,
sad.
There is actually an issue of Superman where Neil deGrasse Tyson shows up as a character, and he takes Superman to an observatory to see Krypton in a telescope, and he sees the supernova in the telescope because he's calculated that that's the point in time when the last bit of light is going to reach Earth. He sees the destruction of his own homeworld through the telescope.
Superman, fuck your emotions.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's deep.
I like that.
I like
That's really
it.
Yeah,
good.
and it's to quote Dr. Manhattan, all we ever see of stars are their old photographs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly
Also,
what it is.
I'm tired of Earth.
Yes, I'm tired of these people. Clark asks what it was like on Krypton. Kay tells him about how it was a beautiful world becoming desperate. He tells him about the despotic General Zod and everything. Eventually tells him about that Zod may have killed his parents but isn't really sure. He wasn't there when it happened. Clark says he wished he could have met them. Kay says they were good people, just like the family you have now. Kay looks back at the Kents and smiles. He then wants Kay to show him more stars and planets. Kay refocuses and zooms in on the nearest planet, Mars. Cut to a random moon. We tilt up and see Zod's fleet, very much akin to Battlestar Galactica. The last remnants of Krypton are now a fleet of ships struggling to find a new home. So it's not just, oh, he's the last son of Krypton. Well, as far as he knows, he's the last son of Krypton.
What the frack?
Yeah. How about that ending, huh?
I haven't seen.
It was God that did it.
I haven't seen.
It's bad. It's a really bad ending. We go inside and see Zod has aged a bit. Time has definitely passed. His crew states that the moon colony below is exhausted of food supplies. Zod asks if they could terraform the moon. Fiora says it's not possible. There's no atmosphere to build upon. Faced with certain death, Zod orders the fleet back to Krypton. Fiora asks why. Zod wants to find the wormhole that Jor-El's ship went through to see if there is a habitable planet on the other side. He also states that without food and a birth chamber, the Kryptonians will be extinct. They head back, see the obliterated remains of Krypton, find the wormhole, and travel through it. Back in Kansas, we see Clark has grown into a real man, so about another 2 years or so have passed. He has graduated from Smallville. He has also shown to be much bigger. His growth spurt finally hit. Yeah, so now we get to be big Henry Cavill. On the way home from graduation, John Kent has a heart attack. Clark picks him up and rushes to the hospital. Even with how fast he is, he doesn't make it in time, and he dies on the ER table. Yeah. Clark goes home and cries with his mom. Kay watches in the distance. After the funeral, Clark sits in his room quietly. He says to Kay, I wasn't fast enough. Kay says, even gods can't always pull off miracles. Clark says he doesn't know what to do now. Kay says, you can do whatever you want, just be good about it. Kay says that he has something for Clark. Overnight, using his matter generator, he creates a suit for Clark emblazoned with the symbol of the House of El. What's the S stand for? Clark says. Kay says, it's the symbol of the House of El. Clark says, oh, super. Now only I'll know what it means. Kay says that he sees Clark becoming a great man capable of amazing things. John Kent believed it, and Jor-El, were he here, would believe it too. If you want to achieve great things, all you have to do is look up. Never stop looking up, Clark. It's worth it.
You got the makings of greatness.
Clark puts on the suit, and it form fits to his body. He comments on the underwear being on the outside. Kay says that it needed a little more color. You'll get used to it. See, it sounds fun. This sounds fun, doesn't it?
Jesse, how many lampshades did you manufacture for this?
Every single fucking one.
Full lampshade.
Every single fucking one. Clark shows his mom. She's excited. They go outside, and Kay says, now fly. Clark is confused. Wait, what? Kay says, you can do it. Fly. Clark kneels down, powers up, and jumps high, but crashes. He jumps up again and crashes. And again and crashes. Kay floats over to him. Clark says, I can't. I don't know how. It's impossible. This is the Luke Skywalker Yoda sequence. I can't. It's too big. Yeah. Kay says, look at me. I'm an artificial intelligence halfway across the galaxy on an alien planet with the last son of the Kryptonian race, and you want to claim it's impossible. Martha Kent walks over and says, Clark, have faith. Up there are both your fathers. They're looking down on you right now, and they'd be proud of everything you've become. Now go up there and fly with them.
That's really sweet.
Jesus.
Clark reinvigorated, kneels again. Kay says, good luck, last son of Krypton. Finally, he launches himself up and away. This is where the John Williams Superman theme kicks in for the first time.
Oh, okay.
You ever seen The Rocketeer?
Yeah.
This is the Rocketeer sequence where he after he saves the guy in the airplane and he's flying through the sky.
Yeah.
That's this.
Gotta
Literally this. He flies around everywhere enjoying his newfound freedom. He casually passes through the clouds, does loops, passes near an airplane, flies all over the place. Eventually, he lands back home. As the music ends, he looks at Kay and Martha and says, I like it, and smiles. Literally also ripped off from The Rocketeer.
Yeah.
That night at dinner, Clark says he's moving to Metropolis. He has a meeting lined up with Perry White at the Daily Planet. Martha and Kay agree that it's time for him to become independent. Clark says now that he can fly, home won't feel so far away. Hard cut to a montage of random shots of Metropolis. Musical choice here. Summer in the City by the Lovin' Spoonful. You ever seen the opening of Die Hard with a Vengeance?
Yeah.
That. Exactly. Clark pushes through crowds. They shove back. He falls, drops his backpack and his glasses. People bump into him. He finally picks up his stuff and heads to the Daily Planet. He looks up and sees the statue of the planet on the rooftop. Someone next to him says, it gets smaller every day. Clark says, excuse me? The person next to him is Lois Lane. She's drinking coffee and smoking a cigarette. And yes, my Lois Lane smokes fucking cigarettes because she's a fucking badass bitch. She says layoffs, low sales, reporters are a dying race. Clark says, you know smoking's bad for you, right? She smiles and says, well, aren't you a good little Boy Scout? Such a splendid little shit. They introduce themselves to each other and head inside. As they head in, she flicks her cigarette into a flower bed filled with dry mulch. Knowing it will start a fire, Clark quickly blows a gust of ice breath at the cigarette and puts it out. So, fun little thing with his bits.
I like those little quirks with powers, because that is something that I enjoy in superhero films.
It makes it more relatable as a person where he's like, just that little thing where he's like, oh yeah, he actually cares.
Well, it's like in Harry Potter, there's a lot of little things that they do that's like, why are you cooking? Like, isn't there a magical spell that you could use to cook the food? Like, there's a lot of things that it's like, why wouldn't you do that with your powers if you had powers?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Right.
Upstairs, Clark meets with Perry White. Perry is on the verge of a meltdown, as always. They talk, and he turns Clark down for any kind of job. He says the best he can offer Clark is an unpaid internship. Clark accepts. After he walks out, Perry says he's going to last a week. Clark bumps into Jimmy Olsen, who is Lois Lane's assistant. They talk, and Jimmy asks what Clark will do for money since the internship isn't paid. Clark realizes that even though he has the internship, he still needs a job to pay the bills. Hard cut to him working as a courier at Metropolis. This could have a short sequence of him using his powers in interesting ways to make deliveries faster. On one delivery, he gets jumped, and some guys try to rob him. They take his packages and his money. As they run, he smiles and flies into the air. He then lands in front of them wearing his full Superman outfit. They try to stab him. Their knives break. Clark asks him to return what they stole, but they just run away. Clark takes the final packages, makes his rounds across the city, puts on his normal clothes, and head back to the courier office. His boss says, how the hell did you do that so fast? Clark says, oh, I did track in high school. As Clark leaves the office, he has a revelation. He realizes what he can do with his powers. He drops off his personals at home and heads out for his first patrol. Montage of him saving people and doing general good across Metropolis. One situation is an apartment fire. He tries to save everyone, but one person dies from smoke inhalation. He heads home disillusioned. So it's literally ripped from Spider-Man 2 when he tries to save everybody in the building and one person dies. Yeah, it's that.
How dare you put altruism in your movie?
I'm so sorry that I actually know what a Superman movie is like. The next day at the Daily Planet, Jimmy asks Clark what's wrong. Clark says, someone died last night. Jimmy says, oh, I'm sorry. Family? Clark says, no. Lois and Perry talk about reports of a guy in blue and red suit literally flying around Metropolis. Lois says she wants a story and says that the public is dubbing him as Superman because of the S.
Give me pictures of Spider-Man. He's a menace.
Lois sees photos of Superman from cell phone footage posted on YouTube and photos on the internet. She furrows her brow and zooms in on Superman's face. It's blurry, so she can't really tell, but it looks like somebody she knows. She grabs her cigarettes and heads downstairs.
Man, you are hooked on these.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Clark steps outside and sees Lois smoking it. Well, maybe she's vaping. Whatever.
That would
if
be
you want
more.
to
Get that popcorn.
Yeah.
Okay, vaping. How about that, vaping? Clark steps outside and sees Lois smoking again. She says, "Oh boy, Hall Patrol is coming. Better be a good girl." Clark just sits across from her on a bench and stares at the ground. She says, "Hey, you okay?" Clark just stares at the ground. "Look, intern pool won't last long. You'll be in the editing room in a couple of months." She sits next to him. They talk for a bit on how hard it is at the planet. Lois says, "If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it." "But I'm not like everyone," Clark says. Lois looks at his face. She knows at that moment he's Superman, but she doesn't say anything. She just smiles and says, "No, I guess you're not. Just be honest and do the best you can. That's all anyone can ask from you." She finishes her cigarette and heads back inside.
Wait, can't he hear your thoughts though?
No. Hey, Aaron, come on. Can you read my mind?
None of that shit. None of that shit.
You belong in the sky.
None of that shit.
Oh boy.
That is the only thing from that Richard Donner movie I absolutely hate.
As a child, we riffed on that. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
Kids were sitting around going, "That's fucking dumb."
Yeah.
Oh God, can you imagine how difficult that would actually make your interactions? Like, people think that it would make it easier, but no. Like, it would be horrible. You would hate yourself because of all of the other shit that people think about you.
And we're shocked that she went on to do Left Behind movies.
Oh God.
With Gary Busey.
I miss Margot Kidder. God. All right. That night, Clark suits up again and heads back out. He heads to the local police department and asks to see whoever is in charge. The chief of police personally meets with Clark. They discuss everything Clark knows about his origins and his intentions. He's willing to submit to testing to make sure he is not a threat to the population. From here, the military gets involved and runs him through rigorous testing of strength, speed, and intelligence. Really, they are testing for weaknesses, but they can't find any. When they ask how strong his body truly is, Clark plucks a hair from his head and ties it around a steel weight. It holds perfectly fine. Clark then says, "I'm here to help everyone. I just thought you all should know. I don't want anyone getting the wrong impression. Now I'd like to go home, please. Good night." And he flies off into the night.
Could do remember in One Punch Man when Saitama's doing the hero training and he's overdoing it the whole time? That's all I think of.
There's a scene, or even like in, I think it's Arrow, when Barry is revealed to be the Flash, and he does the salmon ladder, and he's doing it like lightning speed. And he's like, "I don't know why that's so difficult." But yeah, the hair pluck thing, holding up the weight, that is from Superman 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's holding up the steel ball, I literally just ripped that off. Sorry. Had to. That's the only good thing in that entire movie. It's the only good thing. It's like, oh.
It was produced by Canon. What do you mean?
We found Nuclear Man. He's an ex-Chippendale dancer. Oh, God.
Lines up.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. 2 months later, cut to Zod's fleet exiting the wormhole and entering our solar system. They detect Kryptonian technology and life signs on the third planet from the sun. They begin to encircle Earth. Zod detects Kay's artificial intelligence and boards a ship with Feora and some guards to investigate. They land and meet Martha Kent. Zod threatens Martha until she says where Kay is. Kay comes out. They talk about where the ship is. Kay refuses to answer. Zod threatens Martha, and Kay finally says it's under the barn. Feora investigates and finds the ship. Feora asks, "Where's the child?" Oh, sorry. I'm running out of spit. I need some to drink.
Yes, drink that Jack and Coke.
Papa needs some liquid.
Oh, God. Okay, here we go.
Sweet nectar.
Yeah. Sweet nectar of the gods. Kay tells them that they are clearly not from around here. Also worth noting, the Kryptonians do not have the same abilities as Superman since they did not adjust to Earth's atmosphere over 20 years. They must remain in their suits the entire time or they will die. They have weapons that can match Superman, though, since they are powered by kryptonite. So there is something that could actually hurt Superman in this film.
Okay.
Yeah. Unlike in the movie where nothing hurts him. That was so dumb. That was like, oh, you can't breathe? Like, everyone breathes oxygen anyways.
Pollution is bad.
Oh, God. Back at the Daily Planet, Clark now works in the copy editor's pool. He acts as a photographer on the side. Over the past 2 months, Superman has become extremely popular in Metropolis, though there is a small, significant number of people that question if someone like that should be, someone of that level of power should be permitted to live on Earth. Clark is happy, though. Suddenly, the power goes out. All the screens flash black, and General Zod makes a speech demanding that Superman meet with him in person. He wishes to reunite all Kryptonians at last and promises to rebuild Krypton upon Earth's soil. Clark runs out, tries to call his mother, but there's no answer. He flies home, and there is Zod waiting for him. He holds Kay and Martha hostage. Clark and Zod talk. Zod wants Clark to come with him and rejoin the Kryptonians. Clark says Earth is his home now. Zod says that Earth is filled with a weaker race. Mercy and pity is for the weak. He is the objectivist fundamentalist ideology. No. He is that ideology.
You Bioshocked Superman!
I Bioshocked fucking Zod. Krypton must reestablish its dominance. They could rule over them like gods. Clark says he's just fine where he is. Zod tells him he will regret this decision. As they walk away, Kay asks where Jor-El and Lara are. Zod says, "Here, I'll show you," and fires a blast from his gun, killing Kay. So Kay is now dead. They take Clark's ship and head back into orbit. Clark tries to rebuild Kay, but doesn't know how. Martha holds him as he cries. As Zod and Faora reach the fleet, Zod gives the order for an invasion. A squadron of landing craft fly down and land in various cities across the globe, including Metropolis. Clark hears that an invasion has started. He flies to Metropolis and tries to stop the invasion. Insert amazing action sequences that in no way resemble 9/11. None of that. Clark does his best to stop the invaders and cause as little damage as possible. So you can have
and I think it's important to show scenes of him preventing damage from saving a monument or
there's
something.
A lot of that in Superman Returns.
Yeah,
the first two Avengers movies.
In Superman Returns,
this way, get him that way, get him away from the.
In Superman Returns, there's a moment when glass blows out of the windows and it's about to fall on people down on the street. So he uses his heat vision to melt the glass into sand.
Yeah,
something like that.
He should be spending half of the fight scenes
stopping damage,
and the other half getting some blows.
Or you can even have
realize that's his weakness.
Exactly.
And you can also have funny moments like Jackie Chan movies where they're trying to save some precious artifacts, and it keeps going and going, and then finally just somebody just shoots a gun and just blows it up anyways.
Son of a man!
That would be funny. Yeah.
Not the Declaration of Independence. Is that the Mona Lisa?
Oh,
why are these all in the same place?
We gotta separate these things.
It was a convention, guys.
Oh God!
Popular art convention.
Exactly. Eventually, it comes down to him and Faora. They fight until she pulls out a knife made of kryptonite. Her suit protects her, but Clark feels the effects. He gets the crap beaten out of him, but manages to overtake her. He takes the knife and stabs her in the gut. He uses her comms to contact Zod. He says that she's injured and she needs help. Zod says if she needs help, then that means she was too weak to survive in the first place, and cuts transmission.
No charity for the
weak. Superman flies Faora to her ship and takes off towards Kansas. Back at the farm, Faora uses her medkit in her ship to heal herself. She asks Clark, "Why did you save me? I'm your enemy." Clark says, "It was the right thing to do, and you're not my enemy. You're just trying to save your race." Faora is surprised by this. She agrees to help him. Clark says that Krypton and Earth can live side by side. If he can do it, so can they. She then says that she will tell the fleet to call off the attack. She orders the attacks to stop, but they continue. Zod breaks into the transmission and asks what she's doing. She says that they don't need to wipe out the human race to bring back Krypton. Zod says, "You always were soft," and cuts transmission again. Clark and Faora have no choice but to team up to stop Zod. See, I made Faora a main character.
Aaron.
I made them a full-on team. Okay? Faora will infiltrate Zod's ship while Clark tries to stop the attacks across the Earth. We cross-cut sequence of each doing their task. Clark goes from city to city, stopping attacks and saving civilians. So you get to see everything, like Paris, Hong Kong, Moscow,
Cincinnati,
everywhere. Fuck, have him land in Gotham and have a Batman cameo where Batman's trying to stop them, and then they cross eyes for a second, and then he flies off.
Yeah, I like those quick moments of levity.
There you can have cameo moments. You can have a big universe.
He lands in Miami and Florida Man's trying to stop it.
Yes.
He's on bath salts.
Because if it's not, it really needs to be. Has somebody made a Florida Man superhero yet?
Oh God, Florida Man.
It needs to be a thing if it is not.
I agree.
He even saves the Daily Planet at one point and Lois Lane. He starts to get exhausted though. Faora breaks into Zod's ship in an effort to kill Zod.
Lois Lane save the Daily Planet?
Huh?
We have
No.
Lois Lane save the
We're
Daily
tired
Planet.
of strong women.
How would Lois Lane save the Daily Planet?
I don't know. I'm sure we can figure something
So
out.
the printer that
gets
had the
in the
alert for
way.
low toner, she like pushes out a window and, drops
And
on
it falls
somebody.
on some guy trying to shoot civilians.
I mean, not terrible. Better than what Zack Snyder did.
You know
with
what?
that.
That's
It's
fair.
really
Fair
useful for
point.
something.
That's
you know
fair
what'll probably
point.
be great? You know how she'll beat them? She can cook them a meal and do what women are supposed to
Oh,
do.
shut up! God damn it!
No, I will not
God
be party to
damn.
a misogynist film. That's not okay.
Oh God! All right. Anyway,
Satire. That's what he's doing.
yeah.
Maybe
Although,
she can like blind them with the flash on her expensive ass camera, and then like use like a
Oh, so it's like Rear
3 foot
Window.
long like prying lens to whack him upside the head.
She burns them with a cigarette.
Aaron, are we breaking more expensive cameras? Because I'm not here for that.
You know?
But have her throw a red camera at the guy and like, oh, it was $3,000.
The guy grabs it.
He catches it. He's like, "That's expensive."
That's actually pretty good. That's pretty good.
You know, genuinely, if she like cut a elevator cable and dropped an elevator on somebody, that's
That's not bad.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like just enough for a human to do to be like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's believable.
Home
Yeah,
Alone
okay.
It's realistic,
hijinks.
but I'm sick of her having to be the damsel in distress all the goddamn time.
But
like,
exactly.
let her do
I
something
couldn't.
cool.
I just couldn't think of anything that she could do. And
there's
typically, if
tons
you
of
can't,
things.
if you can't come up with anything for the character to do, that
Aaron,
shouldn't be
fix it.
there.
Aaron, fix it.
You fix
I
it.
mean, it just, I just gave we just gave a couple of examples just to have
She stabs
her,
a guy in the eye with a cigarette.
Yeah, or some sort of improvisational use a piece of equipment like a camera or something that's associated with her character. Like maybe she wears these stiletto heels the entire time and she just takes off her heel and fucking stabs in the eye with it. Like
Love it.
There
just
you go.
have her do something
shove
that's
him out the
within
window.
human plausible standards.
But she gets through his suit and it like weakens him.
She cuts through a guy's suit.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, like she is badass Lois Lane. What if she just had a knife on her? Or whatever?
Yeah, I mean she can be
Or she
within the
stabs, or
parameters
she
of
shoots a
humor.
guy with a taser or something like
Yeah,
that, and
something like
overloads
that.
his
Exactly.
suit.
Overloads his suit.
He pulls out a kryptonite knife and she pulls out like a fucking bayonet. That's not a knife.
Let's not make it like the Predator, where Olivia Munn is like jumping on tops of like buses and shit with a shotgun. Like, aren't
She
you a
has, like, some
scientist?
pepper
Listen,
spray
that's
or
not-
something like
No,
that.
she's
on
Jor
her.
El. Okay, get it straight. She can do everything.
Oh god. Let's get back to this before we get sidetracked. Feora breaks into Zod's ship in an effort to kill him. She fights her way through the crew and gets to the command room. Zod and Feora fight, damage the flight controls. The ship is on a crash course towards Earth, specifically Kansas. Yes, I know it's convenient, but it's good for like, hey, we have to go back home to do the fight.
Welcome to movies.
Welcome to
It's so
movies. It's
emotional.
appropriate. Where you end should be where you started. It crash lands and Feora is knocked out. Zod manages to escape but is wounded. Superman finishes up his rounds and tries to contact Feora. No response. He hears on a radio broadcast that a ship has crash landed in Kansas. He hightails it back there and finds the ship. Zod is stumbling away. Superman tells him it's over. Zod says it will never be over until Krypton lives again. He tells Clark that is why Jor-El sent him away in the first place, to rebuild Krypton. It's what your father would have wanted, Zod says. Clark says, I had a father. His name was Jonathan Kent and he was from Kansas. Literally ripped off Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Literally ripped
I
it
like
off.
it.
Yep. All right. Zod, in rage, pulls out 2 kryptonite knives and rushes at Clark. They fight on even terms, just like Feora. So they can be damaged because, Superman is depowered because of the kryptonite a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah,
So
like
it's
it.
not like, oh, he's invulnerable. It's like they clearly can fuck each other up.
Yeah.
So it's even keeled. They fight on even terms, just like with Feora. Eventually, Clark damages Zod's suit, and his atmosphere begins to leak. Zod struggles to breathe as Clark watches. Clark throws away the kryptonite knives, and he regains his strength. Zod, almost out of oxygen, begs for help. Clark says, mercy and pity is for the weak. He then reaches down, X-ray scans Zod's suit, uses his heat vision, and fixes it. He then says, don't think you're going to live this one down, Zod. Feora pulls herself out of the wreckage and heads over. She and Clark look down at Zod, who passes out. Feora says she doesn't know what to do now. Clark says that there's a way to have a new Krypton. He looks up into the sky and points at Mars. He says they can rebuild there. They shake hands. Mars will be the new Krypton. They can terraform that planet.
Not to poke plot holes in your story, but if they couldn't terraform the moon for not having atmosphere.
No, there's 0 atmosphere on the moon. You need some atmosphere. There is an atmosphere
God,
on
learn
Mars.
Fucking science, Seth.
Is
There
there
is
atmosphere on Mars?
there is a thin atmosphere
Okay,
on Mars.
that was me not knowing. Okay.
There is a thin atmosphere on
I
Mars.
did not know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
science, bitch.
I was-
Fucking moron.
I was gonna
Yes,
suggest.
science.
I was gonna suggest Venus as an alternative, but if
No
there
one
is
can.
atmosphere-
Well, you can't.
No, only Hitler can be there.
Well, you can't. That planet is already past the point of terraforming.
Oh.
It's 6,000. It's like 600 degrees on
just
that
blow
planet.
some of it off with one of their machines. That's how
That's
they
a
work.
Wolfenstein.
Just
Sure.
reverse
2
the
reference.
machine.
Okay, fair enough. Even though there's like acid hydrochloric rain.
Right.
Sure.
That'll be the sequel. It's like, whoa, we tried to terraform and it fucked up. Thanks for nothing, Clark.
God.
Fucking asshole.
It does set up a lot of good sequel potential, which is always nice.
Oh, I'm getting to that. Yeah. I'm getting to that. We're in the epilogue now. A week later, the news declares Superman a hero and dubs him the Man of Steel after the people see how impervious he is to physical harm. There you go. Got it. Clark, working in his garage at home, repairs Kay. Kay awakens and asks what happened and how did Clark fix him. He says that the Kryptonians shared all their knowledge with humanity, even how to fix Kay. For now, there's peace. That night, Clark puts on a suit and gets ready to head to a relief benefit for Metropolis. He asks Kay and Martha how he looks. Martha says, "You look like a grumpy architect. Remember to smile more often." Grumpy architect, Fountainhead.
Comedy.
I took that from there. Yeah. Kay agrees. He heads downstairs and walks outside. Kay asks, "Do you really trust Feora to not attack again?" Clark says, "It crossed my mind. I can't do this alone. If someone like me can exist, what are the odds that other people on this planet can do what I do?" Kay says, "Computing. Chances are highly likely." Set up for Justice League!
Well,
Wait, so we're not going to do trailers in the middle of our movie?
No! None of that shit. Oh, by the way, Aaron, in
product placement?
In Batman v Superman, there are literally trailers. In Batman v Superman, there are literally trailers for the next 4 movies that never happened.
So my proposition for this film is since we need to get the product placement in. So at the end, we'll just kind of do like the Iron Man shawarma scene, except we'll have like Superman and all of the other members of the Justice League sitting in an IHOP. That'll be the after credits scene.
Sure.
Yeah.
I really don't
like that
Feora,
I need to show you
make
pancakes.
DC comics into Marvel.
Pancakes.
You know that Marvel is trash.
Pancakes.
God, give me another reason to hate that movie.
Oh God.
I'm not fixing Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever. Well, they tried to with the remake, and it was
yeah,
terrible.
and
It was even worse. It's even worse.
Fucking Eli Roth.
Oh,
that is 3
God.
times you both have synced up on the same opinion at the same volume. Just want to point that out.
It's super weird.
Oh God. Anyways. All right. Computing. Chances are highly likely. Clark smiles and says that can wait. For now, he's got somewhere he needs to be. Clark heads to the benefit and doesn't seem to really fit in. This is mirroring what happened to him back at the dance in high school. So it ends where it began. The mayor of Metropolis announces that a statue of Superman will be erected in the center of the city. Clark sits in the corner and quietly sips his wine. Music is being played live and everyone is dancing. Eventually, Lois notices him and walks over and she says, "Now, why would such a handsome young man be sitting all alone?" She asks him to dance with her. At first, he declines and she drags him onto the dance floor. This is something that I just thought, this is perfect. But you guys are probably going to be like, what? The cover version of the song Stand By Me by Weezer starts playing.
Okay.
Shut up. I like that song. It's a good cover. She says that it was quite a week at the Daily Planet. Clark apparently had missed a lot of it because he was injured in the attack. Clark says, "Yeah, I thought I was going to die." She says, "I'm sure you did, Superman." Clark, aghast, starts chuckling. He says, "Lois, that's hilarious. You think?" "Shut up," she says. She reaches up and takes off his glasses. Clark begins to panic. She says, "It's fine. No one's looking." She wraps her arms around his shoulders, looks up at him, and says, "Don't worry. I won't tell if you won't." She smiles, and then so does she. We end with a crane shot moving up and out of the crowd as the song plays. We go up and up till Clark and Lois are just 2 people in the middle of the crowd. We reveal a banner hung from the ceiling that says, "Thank you, Superman." Cut to black, and then the credits roll. Mid-credit scene. Mars. The Kryptonians have begun to colonize and terraform the planet. Feora stares at Zod in his prison cell. Zod says that he will get out and there will be a reckoning. Feora just walks away. She is then called down to the Martian surface. The Kryptonians have found something. She enters a cave with an excavation team, and they find a holding chamber filled with frozen sarcophagi. She looks into one of them. One of the team says, "What is it?" She says, "Not what. Who?" We see inside the sarcophagus. It is John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, frozen in stasis. So there you go. You got your Martian Manhunter in there.
I'm okay with this movie now.
It took just that.
Cut to black.
Took a shot.
Cut to black. Credits roll with the Superman theme playing again. After credits scene, we see the statue of Superman being built in the center of Metropolis. Only the legs have been built thus far. We tilt up to a massive skyscraper. We cut inside to a penthouse suite and see a mostly empty room. There is a window the size of the wall that can be looking down on the statue, a fireplace that has papers burning inside of it, a long marble desk with a box on top of it, and across the room, the weight Superman tied his strand of hair around being held up in a frame. A man with a shaved head and goatee leans over the fireplace, staring into the flames. We see what the papers are. They say Mars Colonization Program. An internal monologue of Percy B. Shelley's Ozymandias begins playing. As the monologue continues, the man reaches into the box on his desk and pulls out one of the kryptonite knives. He pounds a fist into the desk, turns around, and stares into the camera intensely as you hear the words, "My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair." He puts the blade of the knife between his fingers, throws it across the room. It cuts the hair, holding up the weight, and the weight crashes to the floor with a thunderous thud. He leans back on the desk as the monologue continues. The camera pulls back, and we see a massive emblazoned logo above the window. It says LexCorp. The monologue ends. Cut to black. The end.
Are you going to recast?
Bryan Cranston.
Do you want to play the...
Let's play it.
I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things. The hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair." Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.
Cut to black. The end.
Cue Carry On Wayward Son by Kansas.
Well, when he was training with Kay, I kept having Hearts on Fire
playing. For years until yesterday.
There it is.
Yeah,
I
we bring it up
fixed
again
it.
today.
I fixed it. Don't you fucking ask to fix BVS.
But then, like, but he already knows
50
There's a
likes and he
picture of
has
Zod
to
hanging
fix
in a
BBS.
mirror. He grabs it.
So, thoughts?
50 likes and you have to fix BBS.
You have to say
Songs
50.
are-
Why could you say 500?
Okay, to give precedent to the BVS, if it happens, in season 2, we deleted BVS from the timeline.
Oh, okay.
with Mando v. Movies.
So I don't have to do it then.
In
So
the Film Rescue Show universe, BVS doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could
Probably
just
solid
do
call.
a sequel. I'm trying to think back. Stuff that I loved. All the moments for like actual comedy to stand out a little bit. You know, not alert, toner low.
Yeah.
Not shit like that.
Yeah.
But,
Actual
comedy.
jokes that play into his powers.
Yeah. Superman's funny. Like he's
He's goofy. He's fucking goofy.
He's got to like save
Fucking
people
nerd.
while he's fighting people.
And I
He
think
fights giant dinosaurs.
And I
Yeah.
think it plays more into Henry Cavill as an actor to begin with.
He's a
because-
genuinely charming guy,
guy
but they
can
never
do it.
use that at
No.
all in these movies.
And
Yeah.
he could
He's
totally
completely
do
wasted.
that role. That's why.
It could be a wooden dummy, and it would be the same movie.
He's not wrong. It's just hot guy number 1.
Yeah.
Pretty much all it is.
Like I said, it's Howard Rourke from the Fountainhead. He's just completely blank. He's a blank individual.
Aaron, thoughts, comments, compliments? I mean, overall,
I
fantastic pitch.
was-
Probably the
yes.
best that you brought.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
not
look
to-
at that.
not to
All the
poo-poo
other
the
ones are
others,
Garbage.
This is the best
Jesse.
one.
This is the best one.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
This has I feel like the most investment from you too.
It does because I
I
fucking
think
had to
that's
read this
why-
bullshit.
I think there's
Right.
one in the back of my mind, like, half of me was like, if I have Jesse rescue Man of Steel, this is going to be a very angry episode. But I think somewhere in my subconscious, I knew it's like, all right, I'll finally hear what he would consider to be like a good modern Superman film.
Right.
This is a good modern take
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
It's
And we'll
reverential
also-
of the material while also being updated.
Yeah.
So
So,
we'll
Aaron,
also
I
get a
was trying to
3-hour
cut to you.
episode out of it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Aaron, thoughts?
I really liked. I mean, I was commenting throughout with my things. I mean, like I said, I want Lois to be a little bit a bigger thing. I really like the Feora was more developed as well.
Yeah.
But by and large, I really strongly support it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sleeper female lead. I really like.
Yeah.
You hear that, Warner Brothers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We like women.
Oh yeah, that's
Michael.
the other thing. Hey, Warner Brothers, like girls watch superhero movies. I don't know if you knew
Like
that or
50%.
Well, that's why they
audience.
went all in
I would
on. That's why they went all in on Birds of Prey.
Don't fucking talk about Warner Brothers not knowing what women are. That's why there's a second Wonder Woman movie and Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
If you want to shit on someone, you should be shitting on Marvel, who's going to make a garbage Black Widow movie that isn't going to be good. Don't you fucking start, Aaron!
The only reason that movie exists is to set up Yelena as the new Black Widow. That's it. It's just to set up Yelena.
It's the film industry. It's just
sorry,
the
they were
whole
talking
industry.
to you, Aaron. Continue.
No, I was
No
saying
one
it's
cares,
not
Aaron.
Marvel versus suck my dick. Okay.
She does have
I
big
wish
dick
I
energy.
had a
She
dick
does.
so I could shove it down your throat and stop the words from coming out.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that in
Chill.
private. That's an OnlyFans donation.
Anyhow.
Jesus.
I am
All
very
right,
proud of the
fine, so now I'm gonna
Ozymandias thing.
strap
The
on
moment I
anyhow.
heard that
Yeah, I
that
love that
speech from
poem.
Bryan Cranston, I was like, yeah, he's got to be Lex
It's one of
Luthor.
my favorite poems, and
Yeah.
Cranston is a perfect cat. I'd like the.
It's like looking into the monolith. I was like, I've cracked the code.
I want Anna Kendrick to be my best friend, so I'm super down with that casting.
Are we good with that recast?
So I'm thinking color palette. Like, are you thinking because we could do like
Much
a
more
classic-
colorful.
Classic.
I was thinking
Much-
like a classic fucker.
I would say, yeah, classic Superman. I'd say, you know what you could probably do? You could probably have the Kryptonians show up and being like more grayish, and then have the color palette of Earth be a dichotomy to it.
Would it be
Yeah.
crazy to do something that's like Kodachrome, like old, like some of the original movies would have been? It's a little colorful, but I don't know.
Maybe.
Something sort of in between, maybe.
Yeah.
Like
I'd
worlds.
I kind of go back to that Superman Lives, that documentary where they had those they had the designs of the Kryptonians where they had like these weird outfits, and I was like, it's weird, it's alien, it should be.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be exactly like things you've seen before. Like
Yeah.
even, I don't think it would have been a good movie, but it would have been at least interesting and more interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been intriguing to watch.
And I
but
even
yeah.
took the character K is from that script. I just reused it. It's like it just felt appropriate to have like some kind of guardian with this kid.
Yeah,
It just
no, I
felt
like it.
appropriate. Like, why not have that? He needs someone to talk to.
Yeah.
He needs a friend. Because you see him as a kid in this movie, he has no friends.
He isolates
Why
himself.
doesn't he grow up to become a maniacal murderer? It would make no sense because he has no friends. He doesn't talk to anybody. He would grow up to be a miserable asshole.
Well, he's got IHOP manager kid that picks up Play-Doh.
Yeah, but we've gotten those what if stories.
He's got
before.
chocolate
Yeah.
chip
Landed in
pancakes.
other
God
places.
damn it, that's
Red
all
Sun.
you need.
Yeah, Red Sun.
Yeah, so we've seen what happens with Kal-El being influenced by the outside world.
Yeah.
And so having someone there to keep him from being a sadistic fuck shows it, because then if at some point in this universe you go to other universes show up, you could show the Justice Lords.
Yeah.
And show the bad side of
Yeah.
what happens to Kal-El if that influence isn't there.
Or way down the line, if you want to
Dude.
do a film version of Crisis on Infinite
You know
Earths,
what'd be
then you
really
see the
cool?
parallel version of it.
God,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
like a-
6 films.
it would be really interesting- It would be really interesting to see something that compared what happens with if Superman grows up in a really supportive, caring environment versus if he grows up in a crazy environment.
There was a book. I can't remember who published this. It was a book called Supreme. Remember Supreme? It was sort of like what would happen if Justice League got demented by the government and it crash lands in Kansas and the government shows up and then they kill the John and Martha Kent versions and then take the kid. And so they grow him in a lab and basically
That's
make him
cool.
their. Yeah, I never read it. I think it was part of the Marvel Max universe, which is now since defunct. The only person that uses the Marvel Max universe is Garth Ennis
Well,
at
then
this
they
point.
also did that in Flashpoint a little bit. Too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Skinny Superman. Brandon, any standout scenes? Anything you're seeing in your head that's like, oh, I visually could see that happening?
I mean, most of this was just playing in my head. I mean,
Yeah.
I already have a habit of whenever I read something that doesn't have like an immediate visual incarnation, my brain just like, oh, how would I film this? How would
And I'm
I-
not removing Stand By Me. Fuck that. I'm not.
I need to hear that. I've never heard that incarnation, so I am intrigued. So because I
Okay.
know you had your warnings like, oh, you're probably gonna shoot it down. I'm just sitting here like, I've never heard it, so
I'll find it.
I'll have to listen to it later. No, don't play it now. We might get flagged.
Oh yeah. Good point. Good point.
I'm assuming.
I don't know
I would
how
just,
this shit
just
works.
be safe.
Fair enough.
Back in the-
Michael, thoughts? You're our local Regent DC expert.
And I'm not even a huge DC person, and I kind of got it already.
No, you nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, you that's the problem with Man of Steel is there's been so many controversies online about too serious, not serious.
And I basically said it's a Superman movie that's ashamed of the fact that it's a Superman movie.
That I agree with. and I love the take, goofy, wacky, kind of get a little bit funnier, and you're playing into the strength of an actor who a lot of people don't give that kind of role to.
Yeah.
And I really think it'll fit him. And I really like that pitch a lot. Like, like I was just sitting here listening because I was picturing everything happening in my mind. And I really enjoyed that. The flow was really well. It was really well done. So
you could just expand this. Like I wrote the entire plot. You could just expand this to a full script and it's done.
Absolutely.
Is it odd to say that this feels like an action dramedy? Like the first half.
Well, that's
really
that's what the
drama
first Superman
comedy.
movie is.
Ah,
Like the action doesn't happen until the tail end of the movie.
Very true. Action dramedy. That's an untapped genre, really.
If they did the more superhero movies, I'd be more invested with them.
Yeah.
Shazam.
Yeah.
Never saw it. Never saw it.
It's good.
I'll finally see
Okay.
the damn movie. I blind bought it on Black Friday.
Remember your pitch when you're watching Shazam? There's a lot of your pitch in fucking Shazam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
All right, fair enough.
It's a very different story, but like you can tell there's a lot of that like hard.
Because they went hard in the opposite direction of the Zack Snyder shit.
Backpedal.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that like I think even Warner Brothers realized in the middle of Justice League that they needed to get rid of Snyder because everyone says, "Oh, well, he left because of the death of his daughter." What I've heard was that he actually was fired.
Damn.
It was actually not that he left. He was actually fired, and Warner Brothers, needing to do damage control, used the death of his daughter to cover it up.
Yep.
That's ugly.
Stay classy, Warner Brothers.
Yeah, because Warner Brothers was not looked at well upon that time because of what they fucked up with David Ayer's version of Suicide Squad.
Oh, God, they threw that fucking thing in a wood chipper and said, yes. Not that it would have been a good movie regardless.
It would have been better.
It would have been better.
It would have been better, more connected, but...
It's still a hideous-looking movie.
And then they fucking put Joss Whedon on that piece of shit, which...
I mean, here's the thing. Justice League, if you look...
respect that, man.
If you look at Justice League, it's the same plot as the Avengers. Yeah. It's literally the same plot. You know, getting a team together to get this weird cube thing that could somehow allow this big overlord to conquer Earth. It's literally the same goddamn plot. It's just done bad.
Yeah, like
the Avengers works as a movie. It's got some slow parts in it, but overall it works. Compared to Justice League, it's just bad.
Did Justice League actually have a bigger budget than the Avengers?
Oh yeah.
It was like $350 million compared to the Avengers like $200 million.
It feels cheaper.
It
really does.
Because it's rushed. It's rushed. Like half the movie's missing.
Yeah.
You're missing like 60% of the original footage. Most of it's reshot.
See, and that's the thing. I know you're always talking about and posting about how like would Snyder's version be better?
No.
Probably not. But the curiosity factor is there. It'll feel probably more like a streamlined movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Characters that were supposed to appear in Snyder's version. John Jones was in there. The Atom was in there.
Yeah.
I think Hela was in there.
Yep.
Like all this, like 7 other characters were cut.
The biggest problem with Justice League is Warner Brothers itself rushed to get to Justice League.
Yeah.
When they should have done a lot more setup to get to Justice League.
Yeah.
Put in the effort, make it work. Yeah.
They did. Marvel was at its peak. It was coming to its apex, and that is Endgame. Endgame is its apex. There is nothing but down for now for Marvel.
True.
Yeah.
They did not have to rush getting to Justice League because now they're playing catch up again. I mean, they released Shazam, which is probably their best movie, and it only made $400 million.
I mean,
that movie should have made you multiples. That movie should have made you over $1 billion because it's an amazing film. But now they're going to play catch up. They're going to try to repair their brand. If they would have just followed the plot leading up to and then doing Justice League War, they would have been fine.
You know what?
John.
Honestly, I would say just do standalone films because I just watched Joker recently. I finally watched it.
I was about to say that.
The way I've described it, it is a 5-star performance inside a 3-star film.
Again,
it is okay.
So a 4-star movie. There you go.
You will love Shazam because Shazam is standalone, references that outside shit.
Yeah.
It never really comes up until that ending, which fucking makes me giggle every time.
But they don't see Henry Cavill's face or some shit?
No,
it's definitely not Henry Cavill.
So the one kid is obsessed with Superman, and at the end, they're sitting down. He's like, "Oh, I have a friend," and it's definitely not him, but it's Superman standing there. He goes, "Oh!" And then the movie ends. I was like, perfection. That's fucking perfect. That is the movie that you'll be like, yeah, this is what I want.
That's what DC could be.
Yeah. That's what DC can be.
Final segment before we end this.
I will say, if you want to do another standalone movie, do a film that's just about Luthor's rise to power.
Ooh.
Dude, there you go. Lex Luthor. There you could have that could be the objectivist movie.
Ian McShane plays his dad.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
That'd be fucking dope as
Yeah.
shit.
Well, Bryan Cranston's like what, 50 now? It's like he's a little old for having.
Well, I think you mean when Luther's
Joseph
Gordon. When
Levitt.
he's young. When he's young. Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt could play young.
JGL would be perfect for that.
Yeah, there you go.
And then
I would
Ian
watch
McShane
anything
is
with
his
him.
dad. Ian McShane would be.
Thank you, Aaron.
Actually, you know what? The guy from Smallville, if he was still alive,
JGL is so hot.
You know what you could do? Have the whole movie be about Luther's rise to power. He becomes a successful businessman, and at the end of the movie, he says, "I think I'd like to run for president."
But you know what?
Because he does become president at one point in the DC universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ironically, he's also a better person than Donald Trump is because he absolved himself of his company in the books.
Yeah. Okay. Final segment. Final segment before we end this thing. We need a director for this project. Jesse told me that's the one thing he didn't pick out, and I just like some creative takes for a director for this. If anyone has one now,
we have a few that are not going to be doing this because Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder are out.
Yeah,
obviously.
they're out.
Thank God.
I would. I was thinking about. I thought Ryan Coogler, who did Black Panther,
that would be really cool.
that'd be a good choice.
Yeah,
Okay.
he does
Setting
big.
it now, right? We're not going back to whatever fucking year that came out. It's like 2019 movie, right?
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah.
This is
Brian
like
Coogler would be
we're
good.
doing a new Superman.
Yeah.
Who's your director? Brad Bird was thrown around. I mean, that's
like an easy go-to.
Yeah,
The
it's
problem I have with Brad Bird is he hasn't done fucking live action.
He has. It was Tomorrowland. It was bad.
That's
Yeah,
my
pe-
problem.
people
I
forgot
like
that he
Weird
did that.
Pitch.
too.
It fucking sucks.
Tomorrowland is bad,
Shut
but there's a
up.
lot of really good shit in it.
I have
There's
an
no
interest-
coherent plot.
I love the fact that movie tried to come out against Mad Max Fury Road and got its ass beat.
Wow.
Although then Pitch Perfect 3 somehow beat Mad Max.
Fuck
It
it.
was
David Sandberg.
Yeah, Shazam
Yeah.
director.
Yeah.
I can see
I
it.
was gonna
Take the
say,
director
Sure.
from Shazam.
Gotcha.
Sure.
Yeah, Aaron, who do you
John Woo.
think? John.
Oh,
Okay.
there's
No.
doves everywhere.
Did you see Mission Impossible 2? Fuck that.
That's the worst
And we're
Mission
back to
Impossible.
Interesting. I think
Mission
it could be
Impossible 2.
interesting.
Oh
Worst
God,
one.
no.
What
But
about
he
the
also did
Mission
Face Off.
Impossible, director.
They did do Face Off. Yeah.
Fuck, who's the Mission Impossible 5 and 6 director?
Like directors have
um,
good and bad films. Like
Brad
look at
Bird
Guillermo
did
del
one of
Toro.
those.
God, what the fuck's his
'Cause I
name?
watch a lot
He's
of
doing.
John
He did
Woo's
Top Gun. He
Chinese
did Top Gun
flicks.
2. What the
Yeah.
hell's his name?
Which is why Top Gun Maverick's probably not going to be a bad movie.
He wrote the Jack Reacher film. He's worked with Tom Cruise like
He's worked with-
constantly.
I think I know what you're talking about. Didn't he also work on Edge of Tomorrow?
Yes.
Did he
Yeah.
write it?
He
Um.
wrote it, I think.
Okay.
Oh,
But I can't remember the
Macquarie.
name.
Chris
Yeah.
McQuarrie.
Chris McQuarrie.
McQuarrie.
Not a bad choice.
Oh, fuck
That
me,
works.
yeah.
Good choice. Good choice. Yeah.
Action scenes would look great.
Very standard director. Nothing really noticeable about style, but just like he's
But that's what
fine.
you want because you're trying to make a
It's a
Superman
setup
movie.
point for a universe.
Yep.
Just be standard.
Yeah.
And
Get to the
Christopher
crazy
McQuarrie
shit
can
later.
do that.
Just do a setup movie. Like the
Unlike
first Iron
Brad
Man
Bird.
is so bland by comparison to what's happening
Yeah.
now.
Aaron, if we do John Woo, what scene do the doves come out in?
What scene do the doves not come out
I've been
in?
watching
Yeah.
a lot of Chinese cinema recently, so
John,
I'm
don't
more
insult
familiar.
Chinese cinema with John Woo, please.
Excuse me, he has done a lot of good films.
Yes.
Or no, Super-
90s and
I mean,
80s.
First-
look at
not now.
directors
First
like
time
Guillermo
Superman
del-
flies,
hold
he
on,
flies with the
hold
doves.
Hold on. Look at directors like Guillermo del Toro.
Nice.
Look at directors like Guillermo del
doves flies out
Toro,
with them.
who have done things like Hellboy, but have also done things like Pacific Rim.
Who the
Like, you
fuck are you
can-
talking about?
Guillermo
Toro.
del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Which actually he could
I
be a
don't think I
decent
would give him Superman.
possible candidate.
I have other comic books I would give to him.
See, then
Again,
Doug Jones would
Hellboy.
have to be K
Yeah.
instead of Alan Tudyk.
Yeah.
Unless he's one of the Kryptonians.
That's true. Whichever
See-
one looks
see,
most
that's why
alien.
Guillermo, I still want him to make. I still have high hopes he'll make my Justice League Dark movie because fuck would he kill that?
or Scott Derrickson.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no.
Since he's not
Everybody
doing
that gets
Doctor
fired
Strange
from
too.
Marvel goes to Warner Brothers.
And then they'll come back.
And then they'll come back eventually.
Except Warner Brothers has now learned their lesson to keep their fucking hands out of shit. So when Scott Derrickson says, "Hey, I have a pitch for a new Constantine movie," they're gonna be like,
It's Constantine.
"Go ahead."
Constantine. Alan
What
Moore
about-
said so. It's
You know
Constantine.
who listens to Alan Moore?
I do.
Nobody fucking listens to Alan Moore.
Nobody that voted in for Brexit voted for Alan Moore.
Aaron.
He
I'm gonna
voted for the
mispronounce
first time
his
in 40
name.
years, and then it got voted right wing to leave again for Brexit. Like, God, you idiots.
I need a mic muter so I can just like
For
insert
real.
to Aaron. I keep
So,
hearing her in the back of my head.
I'm gonna mispronounce his name because I always do. Fifth Element, Luc Besson.
Luc Besson?
Oh, isn't
Yeah,
he like
Besson.
a
Ooh,
shithole?
boy,
though?
He's a horrible guy. No.
So hit
I
or
didn't
miss.
He's a
realize
prick.
he was
He's a
canceled.
pedo.
God
Did you
damn it.
see City of a Thousand
I
Planets?
can't remember who's canceled or
Valerian.
not.
His
Valer-
dream
it's-
project?
Yeah, the first 5 minutes is great, and everything else sucks.
I kind of get the feeling with his recent stuff that he's been a little bit more
His recent
hands
stuff
off
is Valerian.
and like letting other people do stuff. Because I don't know, We've had so many talented directors put out absolute flops, and I'm not sure if it's the writers or the directors just getting old and stale or like what it is. But a lot of good directors have had a lot of flops recently.
True, you're not wrong.
Ooh, Matthew Vaughn.
I almost suggested him.
I'm not opposed.
That was in stereo.
I was trying to come up with
Did you see
controversial
Kingsman
ones, and he's
2?
very
Oh,
a mess.
God.
Still haven't seen the second one.
Honestly,
Only seen the first one.
Joe Johnston.
Yes, Rocketeer. Fuck, yes, you're right. Yeah, good choice. He did first Captain America, even though that's like half a good movie.
It's pretty good throughout.
And
that one deserves a rewatch.
We'll just forget about the wolf.
The first half is good, and then the second half is just, oh, we need to fight with the Red Skull.
Well,
why?
a lot
You
of
don't know each other.
A lot of that is Marvel. A lot of that is
That was clearly just get to the Avengers.
Yeah, don't do the fun stuff. Just get to the Avengers.
That's the fun stuff.
Yeah. Joe Johnston. Oh shit!
Let's also forget Jurassic Park 3.
Oh yeah.
Did he do 3?
Yes, he did.
You know,
it's not awful. It's got okay things in it, but it's not good.
I think I'm allowed to announce at this point the director of the Hell House LLC trilogy is coming on to fix The Lost World.
Oh Jesus! How about just don't eat the dog? Don't kill the dog.
Apparently, he's going off the book, like hard
so
off the book.
much more than just eating the dog. How about we just not make a sequel to Jurassic
Park? That too.
The San Francisco
that too.
Brandon, director ideas?
John Woo, because he sucks.
Dark Horse.
He gets to be last.
Yeah, Dark Horse.
Oh Jesus Christ, no.
Ryan Johnson.
I don't. Hey, if it's more like Knives Out, sure. But we
this is a lot smaller cast.
We need more proof that he can handle a franchise or franchise.
Well,
character.
starting a franchise is different than coming in on 8.
That's fair too.
But I said last time, look, he's good in small spaces. He's not good with epics.
Yeah,
he's not good with
Looper,
that.
Knives Out.
Yeah, he's good in small spaces. He's not good with epics. Is why Last Jedi is like 4 storylines just spraying everywhere. It's like it does. Tighten it up.
J.J. Abrams gave him the type script. And he's like, I need you to get to here. And he's like,
yeah.
What?
it reminds me of the...
You say that like they had a plan to get into Rise of Skywalker.
It reminds me a lot of the Red Letter Media review where they talk about the end of Phantom Menace and there's 4 storylines going at the same time.
Yeah.
It's confusing and it's 4 separate emotional tones, which is what the entirety of Last Jedi is. 4 storylines, 4 separate tones. That's why it just feels kind of bleh the entire time. It's a blur of bad.
I may have gone a little too far.
It may have gone too far in a few places. If you just let Empire Strikes Back has 2 storylines, perfect, and they converge at Cloud City, perfect.
Aaron,
I need to step away for 2 seconds.
Oh, sure.
Okay, we'll continue.
I'm just gonna mute my mic.
Okay,
we may finish up while you're gone, but Brandon, have you thought of anything, or should I keep
George
listing?
Lucas?
God, get
I
fucked.
want the movie to be good, you fuckhead.
Hey, you said Dark Horse. I really don't know. I mean, all the
James Cameron.
Hey, just because he has the same birthday
James
as me.
Cameron's Superman, I'm not gonna lie, doesn't sound awful.
Hey, Seth,
He's
do yourself a
good.
favor and shut the fuck up.
He's never been great at character stuff, though.
No.
But that's the thing. If someone else is writing the script, that's the same with Abrams.
Again,
I'd give this to Abrams
it's
if the script was written by someone
James
really good.
Oh, yeah.
Cameron, that ego-fueled monster that he is now. Did you hear the fucking stories about Terminator Dark Fate? Apparently, Cameron was on his ass the whole fucking time.
Because
he
what
never
does
wants
he
to
have to
work
his name
with him.
besides Deadpool?
God.
What successful rated R movie has he made?
Tim
Only the biggest one.
Tim Miller doesn't want to work with anybody again, apparently.
I don't blame him. Tim Miller's Superman?
No.
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 That's not Dark Horse enough?
No.
Okay, sorry.
No, again, we're trying to get good directors to make movies, Seth. Stop mentioning Batman. It's like John Woo again.
Deadpool the movie carries itself because of the brand. If you even didn't even know who the director was, you wouldn't care.
Mark
And you
my
know
words,
what's a
Ryan
bad
Reynolds is
movie?
going to direct the next one or the one after.
Fucking Deadpool 2 is a terrible fucking film.
It's got good stuff in it, but it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's
None of it has anything to do
it's
with the
messy. It's messy. It's like.
But sometimes messy is fun.
It's goddamn fucking ugly, is what it is.
It
That
is hideous.
really
It is hideous
ugly
looking.
movie.
Yeah. I'm gonna tear you in half now.
I'm gonna kill myself because she's gone.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I mean,
Hate
you know.
that fucking film.
Anyways, Brandon.
I got nothing.
Okay.
At this point, I feel like the well's already been pulled out.
Yeah,
well.
I mean, like you could probably dive deep. I would honestly give this to like
tear Richard Donner out of retirement.
Right.
You want to do it again?
John Landis.
I gotta do the Goonies 2 first. You've been saying for the last 20 years.
God.
Who's the guy who
Lethal
made
Weapon 5.
Who's the guy who made The Sandlot?
I don't fucking know.
Sure, that guy.
Joel McTiernan's Superman.
Who?
John
John
McTiernan.
McTiernan. That's what I meant. Joel.
John McTiernan. Isn't he in like massive debt right now?
Yeah, so he needs that Superman.
He needs a job.
Rob McElhenney's Superman.
Rob Zombie's Superman.
Oh, God.
No! Well, what a good movie, Seth.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got. This is a good stopping place, I think.
Oh, jeez.
Suggest your suggestion for director of Superman. This version, not just a Superman.
Yeah.
Movie. Jesse's script of Superman.
I will only do BVS if we get 50 likes.
A lovingly nuanced and maybe hating on Anne Rind a little bit by the end. Superman.
Just a little.
Just a little.
There you are.
Perfect timing.
Record timing. Aaron, Jesse, Michael, thank you guys for jumping on. I know Michael was last minute and unplanned, but it was still fun.
I wasn't planned, just like my birth.
He just showed up here to diss on me and then leave. I see how it is.
I love you, Aaron.
Yeah,
he comes,
right.
he insults, he
I don't believe
leaves.
Yep.
Aaron,
He comes, he insults, he
set
comes
up that
again, then he
OnlyFans.
Love you, Jesse.
Fuck you, Jesse.
Love
Fuck you,
Jesse.
Mike. God damn it, you're me from a parallel dimension and it's fucking terrifying.
Brandon, thanks for doing our best hosting together. Talking into socks.
I'm so glad I don't have to think about this fucking movie ever again.
Yeah, no, I think we're done. This has been the Film Rescue Show. Thank you for listening. Please
I'm so done.
Leave us a review. Follow us on Twitter at Film Rescue Show. Send us an email, filmrescueshow@gmail.com if you have a pitch. We'll bring you on the show. We are booking now.
Booking dot, yeah.
Booking dot done. This has been the Pitchmaster General, Seth Decker, signing off from the Film Rescue Show. Good night.
I got wax on my dick. It's 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 on my dick.